If you could change one thing about your home, what would it be? A new kitchen, a new master bath, maybe put in a pool? What if you could do it with no money out of pocket and cheaper monthly payments? SaveWithConrad.com can help, and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. SaveWithConrad.com.
Hey, race fans, Hall of Famer Darrell Waltrip here. You know, it's time to drop the green flag on another edition of Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator, powered by Pace-O-Matic. So, hey, pull those belts tight one more time. Here's my buddy Hermie Sadler and Senator Bill Stanley. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's see what they have to say, boys and girls.
I'm Virginia State Senator Bill Stanley, and I'm leaning right.
And I'm former NASCAR driver and Fox Sports analyst Hermie Sadler, and I am turning left. This is another award-winning edition of Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator, powered by Pace-O-Matic.
Hey, Herm.
Senator.
How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's like my lucky day because now you've made 2 straight trips to the mothership here in beautiful Moneta, Smith Mountain Lake at the Stanley Law Group main offices. We're in the conference room, the historic Holland Duncan House built in 1798. And you've brought your friend back with you, despite my real request not to. He's back again, isn't he?
Well, Shep might have to be full-time moving forward because he's catching a little bit of grief, I think, from playing hooky away from work.
You think so?
I think he might be missed.
This is a very important part, I think, of not just, him, but also, I think it probably.
But the good news is
the employer.
Brandon Boyd is worried about the quality of your work, maybe not the quantity of your work. What do you think?
Well, that's true,
Shep
and
Moss,
he's also concerned with standing up for small business,
and that's what we do here.
He believes in this mission. He believes in this lawsuit. He understands the injustices that have been done. And he wants to do whatever he can to help support you. And so far, the best he has come up with is sending me to do the podcast with you.
Is that right?
Well,
so, wait, you've got Brandon Boyd, Chevrolet, and Emporia.
Yes.
You've got Brandon Boyd, Ram, Dodge, Jeep, Mitsubishi, Yugo.
No.
And Tesla in South Heel, right?
In South Heel and Honda.
Okay. So what dealership is that? That's the old Sadler dealership, right?
Well, he purchased the old Sadler dealership, but he relocated down by Walmart. So there we have Boyd Honda, and then we have a separate building with Boyd Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Wow. And then in Henderson, he has Boyd Cadillac, Chevrolet, GM.
Sounds like he only doesn't have Toyotas.
No, we're not worried about Toyotas.
Okay. But he's got them all covered.
Lots of great products.
It's a fantastic place. We've done our podcast there before, as we've said in previous podcasts. It's a great place to go. Top drawer.
So
place.
Shep had a question. You've made several trips to South Hill, several trips to Emporia to do the podcast. This is our second consecutive trip up to the mothership. Shep was inquiring because today we drove his vehicle. Last week we drove my vehicle. He was inquiring about, does the podcast, the business of the podcast, which falls under your umbrella, Senator Stanley, will we go reimburse him for mileage of getting him from South Hill to the Stanley Law Office?
The state average right now is 58 cents a mile, and that's not that. Look, that is not factoring in inflation and the rise of fuel costs
and normal wear and tear on your vehicle and whatnot.
It's not.
Well, a podcast, especially when you're not on the title, is a voluntary endeavor. We appreciate that voluntary effort on your part.
But you're saying he's easily replaceable? Is that what you're?
Well, we could try out some different ones. We could do a little plug-in, pull-out.
Well, I don't think he came across as a deal breaker. He was just curious.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll see. So what I found out was the last time he came to the mothership was that he was like some kind of union pit boss trying to tell my Brad Tuesday, my employee, that he should be getting mileage to and from his house to come to this office every day.
Because a house you encouraged him to buy was too far away from work?
I encouraged him to buy a house because I thought home ownership is really good, better than renting. You're throwing money away when you rent. The market was just starting to get good, and he had, a good paying job. He and his significant other had very well paying jobs. But then he chose to move about 30 minutes away from the office. I was showing him places close by where he could get here within 5 minutes. And then the reason is because we didn't have any good enough fast food joints or DoorDash or some of those things, those creature comforts that he's grown accustomed to in the big city. So I'm supposed to pick up the tab now for mileage.
Listen, I
get him to come.
I
here.
think he was severely taken advantage of and misrepresented. Maybe you need to call Laura Stanley just down the
Was
street.
this the installation?
Yeah.
You've got good luck. Yes, call Laura. I think that's an excellent idea. She's gonna be more sympathetic. She's going to be more mindful of this union kind of thing.
I mean, obviously Hermie was able to get to her.
For an ad, yes, he was. But I want you to tape it, and we'll have it on the next show. Your discussion with your other boss, Laura Stanley. How's that? Okay, well done. Well, thanks for taking care of that, Shep.
But just so you know, the answer to Shep getting a mileage
get
allowance
back
for the
to my
podcast
question.
is 0 to none, I would assume.
Well, Hermie, my staff, Rhonda Smith and Debbie Duke Daly, who have been with me for I've been a lawyer 28 years. One's been with me for 26. One's been with me for 24.
Wow.
But they tend to put out a candy dish with butter fingers and
I've seen some
Nestle
scurrying around the table, but I have
chocolate.
yet to get one.
Well, we are now having to go back out to the store to buy another bag of candy because Shep has torn through the whole.
After
damn
we stopped
bowl.
to get breakfast on the way up here this morning, and he passed on the blueberry muffins at McDonald's because he said he couldn't have any sweets.
Well,
That is true.
it must have been sweets before 12:30 because we're having to go get some more Butterfingers. I bet.
Can you
Halloween
get some
is a
big
real-
size one? I mean, some full size.
You want some
ones?
full size, not the snack size? I'll get those for you. So it is clear that Halloween must be pretty short-handed there at the Moss household because I'm sure by the time the kids start hitting the door, that candy bowl's about halfway down. Isn't that about right, Shep?
You know what? I'm really excited about this guest today. Can we just move along to the guest?
Absolutely, we can. Sure, I'm excited about it too. Once again, Hermie's bringing an important guest to the forefront for our listeners' listening pleasure, and
He's been on fire here lately with the guests.
2 in a row, dude.
Hermie is on
3 in a
fire.
row. 3 in a row.
So our guest today she's known mostly, I guess, for her work in WWE. Mickie James, a native Virginian
From Richmond.
from Richmond, currently living in Nashville, Tennessee, with her husband Nick, son Donovan, and gotten closer with her over the years. My favorite thing about her these days is she's one of Haley's special friends. Haley calls her every week, and she takes the time to answer the phone and talk to her, and really understands Haley and enjoys talking to her and that kind of thing. So, but Mickey's doing great. Not only has had a great career in professional wrestling, but also in music. She has recorded some music with some pretty famous people in country music, huh, Shep?
Yes, she has opened up for, and we need to get into this with her, but, Mickie has opened up for Montgomery Gentry, Gretchen Wilson, Rascal Flatts, just to name a few. She has appeared on a album with Cowboy Troy and Cowboy James Storm, which I definitely have to get the backstory to that. And she's also been put into the Native American Music Awards Hall of Fame. So she not only has a very distinguished wrestling career, but she's done very well on the music side as well.
And she loves horses from Virginia, wrestling. I mean,
She actually did a
complete
concert
package.
did a concert at Faux Show a couple years ago.
Really?
Yeah. And I can't wait to ask her. She came to Richmond to watch me race. I raced in the Denny Hamlin Short Track Showdown at Richmond International Raceway. It had to be 10 years ago. And she was at the racetrack, and I'll have to ask her to get the exact time that she left. But I think she had gotten her car and left before the green flag fell and we got to turn 1. And I've asked her since then, why did you leave the track so early? And her comment to me was, Hermie, you didn't pass a single car the whole time I was there. What am I, kind of embarrassing. She got,
She said to hell with it.
Yeah. So she left.
Well, with friends like those. But speaking of Haley, doesn't she have a birthday coming up?
I want to dedicate this show to my daughter, Haley Drew Sadler. All of y'all know Haley.
Love her.
Here, and what an influence she's been on me and my life and my family. It's hard to believe, man. 24 years old.
So special.
Wow. She is. She really is. She's a
Her
joy to
birthday
talk
is,
to.
so this drops on Thursday. Her birthday is actually tomorrow, July 29th. 24 years old. So we're going to have a little get-together at Faux Show. She's invited a few of her close friends, and she's very hopeful they're all going to bring a nice present and all of that. But, so we'll dedicate this show in honor of Haley Drew.
Happy birthday, Haley
Awesome.
Drew.
Happy birthday.
You are awesome. We love you. I love talking to you every chance I get. And Miss Haley, I
Mr.
call
Bill.
her. That's right.
Mr. Bill.
I think she's amazing and an amazing person, really.
And you know what Haley does every time? She always makes you smile.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Always puts a smile on your face.
Absolutely. And she has a perfect rundown. She can tell you exactly what's going on at any one given moment.
And doesn't care what you got going on.
Exactly.
But she's going to tell you what she's got going on.
Yep. And I have her, because I've been on the phone with Hermie when he's in the car with her and they're at Bojangles, so I know her exact order every time at Bojangles.
She's got it.
And Hermie, you've often said in talking through Haley and our friendship that you worked for many, many years trying to figure out how to make Haley more like you instead of you finally understanding you needed to be more like Haley.
Sure. Haley, of all the great qualities she has, she loves people unconditionally. She doesn't understand hate. She doesn't understand race. She doesn't understand all the problems that we talk about on this podcast, and we'll talk about here in a moment for our leaning right moments, all the issues and things that really hurt our country and our livelihood and our families and all. She understands none of that. And she's so innocent, and she wakes up every morning happy, ready to go to work and do her stuff. And like I say, she cares about and loves everybody. And I do wish, myself included, I wish more people were like that.
Yep.
Yeah. What a better world we'd be.
Wouldn't it be something?
If we were all like Haley Drew.
Wouldn't it be something? Just she sees the good in everybody.
She likes Shep. So
Smart girl.
well, I thought that just proved his point. She likes everybody.
Smart girl.
Well, she is one of a kind and amazing blessing to us all who know her.
And we talked about it in the next couple of weeks. I think it'd be a good idea to do a show around autism and autism awareness. Not only I'll try to get Angie on if she's speaking to me that week, and we both have, maybe Lee Talley, a friend of ours from down in the Hampton Roads area. It's got a son that he shares his stories openly on social media. That's very helpful to other families, and we've got some other friends.
That's Harry. We love Harry Talley too.
Yeah,
He's a
Harry
great
Talley.
fan of the show.
Yeah, we get a couple people together and do like a little round table discussion about autism awareness and programs and things we're doing now, but also in Virginia things we can do better.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good conversation to have because, I think a lot of people see autism from the outside, not the inside, and especially what families go through, the joys, the struggles, the highs, the lows, the learning experiences, and really what our beautiful and wonderful autistic children teach us about life in just the same way that Hermie was just talking about, how seeing the good in everything, seeing the good in everybody is a better way to live life. And perhaps we can learn a lot and help the listeners also learn a lot. And really, again, autism awareness. You have a tattoo, I think, on your wrist.
I do.
And it's the puzzle piece, is it not?
Yeah, it's the autism puzzle piece, and then it's got the first initial of everybody in my family, and they're all tied together with a chain going through the puzzle piece, with Haley's initial being the H right in the middle of the puzzle piece. So that's kind of really how our family has lived all these years, is you link together in that chain and pull each other through, and that's what we've done. And I've had that for about 17 years now.
That's pretty awesome. And,
Yeah.
and I spent some good quality time, as I always try to do, with the Sadler family there. We were in Richmond on some estate planning matters, and And
That's when you dumped me as a client, picked up my wife.
You got to go where the money is, and the money and the personality were right there. So it was a very easy decision on my part. But what I found out was very clear. It was unanimous from Naomi and Cora and Angie that Hermie Sadler spoils his daughter Haley Drift.
Sure I do.
And that he lets her get away with anything, they said. And you would admit that, didn't you?
would.
And you did not even deny that.
And you will also say, not to get into private matters, that the only, I wasn't real excited about Angie getting all my money, but one thing I was adamant about, and Senator Stanley, I think, as my friend and as my attorney, would stand up for this, is that all I really cared about was that Haley, regardless of what happened to me, moving forward, that Haley had the resources in place to take care of her, and that we could independently take care of her without her being put into one day a home or something like that.
I think that was a number one priority for everybody sitting there, your daughters included,
Sure.
and your wife included.
And look, my other two daughters, it really takes a special family unit to deal with something like we deal with Haley, and everybody has to buy in. Not just but Cora and Naomi both. And Bill's heard me talk about some of these things. I mean, my daughters, given their situation, could have been a lot of things, but they're both selfless. They both like simple things. They have really sacrificed a lot over the course of their lives because of the attention that Haley needed. And so, Cora's been that way. Naomi's that way now. And we all had one goal, really two goals. Angie gets all Hermie's money.
That was accomplished.
But more importantly than that, Haley, we wanted to put a plan together for Haley to make sure that, she was going to be in good hands.
Yeah, and I think you did
forever.
that as well.
So that's
look,
really,
I know Cora and Naomi, I know they'd be very, very proud of you dedicating this show to Haley today.
Yeah.
Very excited.
And you're blessed with a great family. So.
Great. And not just my immediate family, but surrounding family.
Takes a village.
Elliot and Amanda. Haley's got a call list of people she calls every day. And they have to be willing to, because Haley will continue to call until, Senator, you would have a hard time with Haley on your days that you didn't, like with me, if you don't want to talk to me.
When I blow you off on my phone.
You blow me off, because Haley is not going to quit. She's going, but Amanda, Elliot's wife, is on her special little call list, as is Mickie James, as is Velvet Sky, who Shep knows, and then multiple employees that we have at Faux Show. The girls that work at Faux Show, Haley calls them her Faux Show friends.
How about Gail Kim? She's still on that list?
She talks to Gail some, yeah. So she's got a little group that she confides in, and
I love talking to her when you and I are on the phone, and she's right there.
She can turn a bad day upside down.
She can in a minute, in a heartbeat.
Put things into perspective. So let's lean right, Senator.
All right, leaning right moment. I think we're on kind of a roll. The more I watch on TV, the more I see on the internet, the more I see on the libs of TikTok. Liberal lunacy is driving me crazy. The leaning right moment, once again, is brought to you by Charlie's Waterfront Cafe, the bakery, the tasting cellar, right there located in beautiful Farmville, Virginia. Tommy Graziano, the owner, has built himself quite a business. Great food, great fun, right on the Criver, the Appomattox Criver. It's a creek, it's a river, I don't know, so I'm saying it's both. Go to Charlie's Waterfront Cafe. In fact, you were there, as you said last week. It's when you go in there, you always are guaranteed a great time. So this leaning right moment is brought to you by Tom Graziano and Charlie's Waterfront Cafe. Gentlemen, last week's episode, we talked about the liberal left lunacy.
You got hot under the collar last week.
Just a little bit.
Hot.
I even called you Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, and I'll take that as a compliment. You're not saying because I'm fat, and I am. I'm not Limbaugh fat, but I'm certainly up there.
No, but you were fired up.
Hey, listen, I've gotten a little chunky because when the pandemic hit, I thought we were all going to die. So why not try to eat every flavor Pop-Tart that they make? And I almost ate every box of Pop-Tarts that they ever made. So still trying to fight to get back down to my old weight.
300.
55 now. I'm feeling good about myself. 300. Shut up. Somebody break all the mirrors in your bathroom.
Well, I'm going to tell you something now. Senator Stanley and I, when it comes to weight, you can call it an advantage, but it could be a disadvantage. I mean, we carry around some weight that Shep don't know anything about.
That's
right. It's a burden.
That's right. Sometimes
Moss don't have no idea what we're talking about.
That's right. Ancestral trees.
That's because I support one of this show's sponsors, Manscaped. I cut the weight.
You cut the weight.
Well, anyway,
That's another good visual to move into your leaning right moment.
That's going
Senator.
great. This is going on.
That'll tee right up.
So, liberal lunacy has been driving me nuts, and especially during, and I want to talk a little bit about this first because you and I, Hermie, were talking about this ourselves. Virginia politics kind of settles down in the summer where, in fact, this week we start drafting for bills that are going to go into the General Assembly. Isn't that right, Brad? Okay, so we're trying to come up with ideas for next year's legislation, trying to anticipate. But, we're kind of in that governmental lull. And in that lull, we're seeing our governor going to other states and talking about the Virginia red wave and how it happened and how it can happen in these states as well. Some of our Republican friends are not taking that too well. They think that he's off running for the presidency. And Glenn Youngkin, I mean, look, right now he's a rock star. He's popular. He had a winning strategy, a winning campaign, a winning message. Both he, Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears, and Jason Miyares put together something that the liberals in Virginia said would never happen. We've got the November 2022 congressional elections coming up. Seeing a big red wave coming there because we're sick of the way the Democrats have tried to fundamentally change the principles of this country. And so I think you're seeing popularity in Virginia's governor because the movement, which I think was started, or at least rode the beginning of that wave that's turned into a tsunami, was through Governor Youngkin's campaign. So he's being called away. You've heard, haven't you? Some people are kind of talking as if he's not paying attention to Virginia.
I had a meeting last week with, I don't mind saying it, I've been, for the last couple of weeks, meeting with some different political consultants as I continue to look into a possible Senate run myself. And that was one of the conversations at the table was, my thoughts on, do I think that, Governor Youngkin should be spending more time trying to fix things? Of course, all that is just politics. I mean, people, the perception...
Trying to fix Virginia and not trying to run for president.
The perception that he's not tuned in to what's going on in Virginia and having people around him and doing those things is just a political, thing people throw out there to try to take attention off the fact of, as you said, how popular he is, and he's got momentum, and he's got things going his way. And so, do I think it's a good look for him to always be gone? Probably not the best look. Do I think it's actually affecting the work that's being done in Virginia? No, it's not. So, but hopefully, he will know what got him where he is today and continue to work hard to deliver on the promises he made and the reasons why he was elected as the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Well, Glenn Youngkin's like the Energizer Bunny. He's always wanting to be doing something. And like I said, we create this lull after the General Assembly goes out. We're not really out, but we're not coming back till September. It's mostly going to be State Corporation Commission judge picking maybe some pickups here and there of issues. Things he'd be doing right now are by executive order. Well, he can't change the high rate of inflation. He tried to lower the cost of gas by at least 15 cents or more by eliminating the gas tax for 3 or 4 months. His priorities that he got in. The ones that got rejected, he's now going around the state advocating to get more support for as we move into next year's General Assembly session. It's really going to come down to, Hermie, if we're able to, in 2023, take back the majority in the Senate and keep the majority in the House and start passing some of his great common sense agenda that's good for Virginia. That's when you're going to make changes. That's when changes are going to come. But the left is so out of their mind right now because he won. They're sore losers. They've tied his hands on some of this common sense agenda that I swear a lot of these issues and programs, if a Democrat, Mark Herring, had proposed them, or whoever ran would have proposed them, Terry McAuliffe, well, by golly, they would have passed. But because they had the name Glenn Youngkin on them, they weren't going to pass. So what's he doing? He's rallying the troops out in other states to make more red states. We're seeing now kind of a rejection of federalism, and I think more rights are going back to the states. We've seen some Supreme Court rulings. States do matter, and so there are red states and there are blue states, and there are states that are kind of like Virginia in between. And what he's doing is going outside the Commonwealth of Virginia to convince those voters that may be in the middle, or those voters that really don't identify with one party or the other, that we Republicans, conservatives, have a good message, have a good way to run the country, and have a good way to preserve our individual liberties and rights and freedoms. And so, good for him to go do that. And I don't think, he's being asleep at the wheel. I don't think he's negating his responsibilities to Virginia. I think the guy can handle both, so I'm fine with doing that. But what's driving the boat on this whole thing of why he's out there, why he's getting such play, why big crowds are following him in other states, is simply this. We've got the left lunacy going on. And we talked about it in the last podcast, Shep.
We did.
We got more of it. And, of course, all you got to do is go on your Twitter feed or your news feed, and you're going to see ridiculous stuff that I'm going to share with you today that's just driving me nuts. You've heard a bunch of this gender fluidity. You've heard, in fact, Brad Tuesday gave me a list, and we were going to quiz Hermie to see if he knew names like, Hermie, do you know what cisgender means?
No.
Do you know what biphobia means?
No.
Do you know what androgynous means?
No.
Do you know what intersex means?
No.
Do you know what...
I don't know anything about what anything related to sex means at my house.
Okay. Well, I'm going to put this
My wife's got all my money now, so what difference does it make?
That's true. So, even the terms that they're creating, there's so many binary. Do you know what binary is?
No.
Non-binary.
No.
Me neither, by the way. But
You always told me when I didn't want to answer anything, I wasn't
Just
sure,
say
just
no.
say no.
yeah, say no, and that's a good way.
So
to
I might have
an idea.
about some of those words, but for the purposes of this cross-examination, I'm going to just say no.
Well, we are so sensitive today in society because this small liberal elite, college-educated, white liberal elite is dictating from their perch on high down on the rest of us, the blue collars, the country, the rural, the conservative, even the moderate liberal. These far left wackos are now trying to create more than what God created. That is, God created man and then he created a woman, right? That's it. And so from there, we have had historically, since the beginning of time, two genders. We have two genders in plants and animals. We have, those plants that have genders, but, in animals, we have them pretty well set out by nature, biology, what they would call science even, right? They always go, follow the science. Follow the science when it comes to wearing a mask outdoors, 400 feet away from people. But don't follow the science when it comes to biology because it really doesn't matter. And it's gone to the extreme into the wacko, the lunatic left. The left lunacy is on full display because now there are articles out here that says gender activists are pushing to bar anthropologists. Those are people that study human beings going back to the beginnings of time from identifying human remains as male or female. And here's why. These professors are saying that we want researchers to stop referring to human remains as either male or female since there's no way to know how they identified themselves back during the Bronze Age. So they're presuming that what they've created in the last, 10, 15, 20 years of this non-binary, binary, cisgender, different kind of sexualities, that somehow these things have been created since the beginning of time. These are machinations and creations that have occurred only recently. But now, as we look back upon history, they want anthropologists that study mankind to drop identifying bones, skeletal remains, as male or female. And they say that this is a perfect way of, making sure that we're paying respect to the new binary, non-binary, different genders that people ascribe to themselves. In fact, the Transdo Task Force has been formed to explore ways in which current standards in forensic human identification do a disservice to people who do not clearly fit the gender binary. How the hell would they know what Charlemagne identified him as back then? How the hell would they know what cave people identified themselves as? And quite frankly, this blurring of the line of man and woman, I think, is detrimental to women. I mean, we're seeing it with Leah Thomas. You've seen that, the swimmer. She's been now nominated for female athlete NCAA Woman of the Year, female athlete of the year. She's a dude. Now, she can call herself a girl, and that's fine. But she's been allowed to compete in female swimming at the highest level. When she was a guy, she was last in swimming. She couldn't finish a race basically without coming in last. Now, because of her physical characteristics, even though she identifies as a woman and has taken some blockers of testosterone and estrogen enhancements, She is now setting records and making it totally unfair, throwing everything into the face of Title IX protections for women's sports. And Riley Gaines, who you probably have seen more than once standing on the podium to her right, a Kentucky swimmer, All-American woman, All-American awarded, athlete in Division I athletics, who keeps coming in second because the dude who is now Leah Thomas, and I don't care, any of you woke people want to sit there and say I'm misidentifying, misgendering her. Well, she's a dude. And if she could call herself a she, and if I'd say, okay, you're a her in your mind, that's fine. But when it comes to athletics and sports, we are blurring the line to the point where, quite frankly, if I was a feminist, I would think that this is an infiltration of males into the sanctity of a woman's gender and women's sports. Instead, we're giving her credit for being trans, which they say is brave, but then because she still has all the male characteristics, is still just taking women's athletics and putting them to shame. I mean, I guess if I'd known this back in the 80s, I would have identified as a girl and played on the softball team, so maybe I could have gotten a scholarship to college.
This may be off subject a little bit, but it triggered my mind. Are you still involved as an attorney in the Loudoun County
I am.
cases?
Yes, sir.
So you've got a different viewpoint of this too. I tell you all the time, as I get deeper into thinking about things politically, I look back at my personal experiences. That's how I draw a lot of the conclusions that I have. I draw personal experiences on these things. So when you're talking about gender and women and how you identify and all that, you're personally involved with a family that had the worst possible outcome of a situation, maybe not exactly like this, but along the same lines where things were maybe not brought to the forefront or maybe slid under the rug, or they tried to hide them and things of that nature, and somebody's family got forever negatively impacted by that.
Yeah. Well, and if you look at the Loudoun County case, for those that don't know, the Loudoun County case is a young lady was brutally attacked and sodomized by a guy who, because he was wearing a dress and that week identified as a woman, the policies created by the Loudoun County School Board allowed him to go into the women's bathroom, where he then attacked a girl, raped her, was convicted of it. And then a father, Scott Smith, a friend of mine, I admire very deeply. He's an emotional guy that wears his emotions on the sleeve, but does so in a passionate way, standing up for his child and standing up for his family. Dares to go to a school board meeting just to listen, and suddenly they say, oh, that never happened. And when he says that's a lie, and he had been told by the school board to keep it quiet and not say anything, he gets attacked by these gender activists and taken to the ground by the sheriffs and charged with disorderly conduct and assault and battery on police officer and unbelievable things that he was just standing up and defending his daughter on, caused by all of this stuff. Because now we're supposed to blur the lines, and if you don't say it's just one man, one woman, that there's 36 LGBTQ LMNOPs, then you're a racist, you're a misogynist, you're a sexist, you're a Cro-Magnon. Well, if I'm Cro-Magnon, I mean, are they going to not identify me if they found my bones because, they don't want them identified as male or female either? What the hell's going on?
Well, this is why I think Youngkin should be out on the campaign trail and talking to people in all these other states. We've got to get people with some conservative issues to run for our local offices, to run for school board, to run for the county electoral seats, to run for the state seats. I think it's very important that he's out pushing this message right now while he can, using his platform in Virginia. I think it's very important for him to do so.
Well, you go back to the Riley Gaines thing, former Kentucky swimming star, who was standing next to the picture you always hear, standing next to second place NCAA championships. She said the following. She said she blasted them for actually this Woman of the Year athlete with Leah Thomas. She said, quote, being the real girl in the photo also University of Kentucky's nominee for NCAA Woman of the Year, this is yet another slap in the face to women. First, a female national title, and now nominated for the Pinnacle Award in college athletics. That she tweeted out. The NCAA has made this award now worthless. I think what she says is absolutely right and poignant. She goes on to say, This award combines athletic performance with academic service and character. What character has Thomas shown other than sheer selfishness and entitlement? The disrespect and disregard for the other female athletes in Thomas's interviews is eye-opening. You know, this, if you're a woman, is men crashing down and taking your rights again. They fight for women's rights. They fight for status and recognition of women in society on equal footing with men. And now we have men saying, hey, I want to wear a dress. I'm a woman. I'm entitled to all sorts of more special rights. More special rights than the rights granted to a real woman. And you know, then you have the liberal lunacy going even further, because even in the Roe versus Wade discussion that they had in a Senate committee in Congress in Washington, D.C., you have nutty, liberal, lunatic professors saying that, you know, Shep, let me ask you this. In biology, and you learn, and from what you've seen, who can have babies, men or women?
Women.
Nuh-uh. Not according to this liberal professor. Her name is, I don't even know anymore.
Just crazy.
Let's just call her liberal professor. She melts down in the middle of this Senate, this interview in the Senate, because it's supposed to be about Roe versus Wade, but she doesn't even identify a pregnant woman as a mother. Chad?
Times you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important
because of my line of questioning? So we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist.
I'm denying that trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get
So you are
pregnant.
denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you?
Absolutely.
Or are they also treated like this, where
No,
they're told that they're opening up people to violence?
We have a good
by
time in my class. You should join.
Oh, I bet.
You might learn a lot.
Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a lot just in this exchange.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary.
Yep.
Wow, that's just extraordinary. I mean, you'd learn a lot in her class, a lot of crap that isn't true.
That is why you've got to get involved. You've got to run for the. Look, I ran for local election.
Are you a cisgender?
A what?
Cisgender.
Do
you know what a cisgender is?
No.
It means a regular person, a heterosexual.
Yes.
A person not even a heterosexual, a person that identifies their gender that they were assigned at birth. But okay, let's call a man.
I was going to say, don't you remember him telling us about the great anniversary weekend he had with great success?
That's correct.
2 cisgenders getting together,
Listen,
according to the stupid professor.
This is why our
professor.
This is why our listeners have to get involved at the local level. I did it. You did it. We're going to make Hermie do it.
Yeah.
You've got to get involved and try to make a difference. And it's so important. It starts at that local level, all the way up through the county, through the state. This has got to change. This is crazy.
This is a professor. People take her course. People have to take her grade. And if you want a good grade, you got to spit back exactly what she says. You remember going to college. That's what you had to do.
That's it.
And you and I have talked about, when our kids go away to school, they come back with that indoctrination, because that's, if they're going to survive and get good grades in that academia, they got to spit back what that lunatic is talking about.
And she's in control to a certain extent of my success. Because if I fail her class, that could really be detrimental to my career path. I've got to follow this nut.
Yeah, I was talking to Hermie about this when I went to law school. I went to a very liberal law school. Now, I loved the law school, loved the people at the law school, but I was getting I'm studying real hard, and I'd write these papers based on my beliefs or legal interpretations, and I get C's. And I realized about halfway through, wait a minute, I'm going to continue to get C's, or I just spew back what they're doing in a liberal slant. And I did it, and I tried it, hated the paper, got an A.
Got an A.
So you know what? I got A's. But you know what? That indoctrination now, for me, I know what's going on. I'm a little smarter than that. I'm not going to buy into it. I just want a good grade. But there's a lot, especially at the 18 to 21-year-old, where stupid lunatic left professors like this nut job influence children.
Sure.
Just like yours, right?
Yeah. It's a real thing. You know, they go to college and they learn, you know, not only what is taught in the classroom, but they're exposed in the way that it's good is they're exposed to a lot of different things through friendships and relationships and things of that nature. You know, people come from all different walks of life and all that, but you know, what's really good is when your kids or people you know's kids or whatever, they get back and start really living in the real world about how things really apply to normal everyday life and the reality of running businesses in rural parts of Virginia. And it doesn't take long to really figure out that, wow, what I was being taught and talked to is really not how things are in the real world in a lot of places. And so that's a interesting transition for kids to go there and then have to find your way back in the areas that you want to be back and realizing really what it's not reality in a lot of cases what they learn in college these days.
Well, and they're selling themselves short because they want their ideology to matter and dominate. And then remember, when it comes to government, they want special rights. They don't want equal rights. They want special rights, special recognition, special classes. You know, the part of Martin Luther King and what we're doing through the civil rights movement was to eliminate differences and to create equality from the ground up, not to create special classes here and there that are entitled to special rights. It was the special classes of the whites before the Civil War that created the inequalities. We're trying to tear those institutions down. It's the same as they say, well, it's all systematic racism since the very beginning. No, it's not. It's not. But you notice here when she starts getting challenged, she says, well, you're transphobic.
That's right.
If you believe that only a woman can give birth, you're transphobic. And you're causing violence against trans people because now 1 out of 5 transsexuals, transgenders, is committing suicide. Well, I think you got to dip a little deeper into that, into the dysmorphia angle before you start saying it's because someone's not accepting them. Hell, all it is, you know, we just got through Pride Month. I mean, commercial after commercial after commercial, forced on you one way or the other. Everybody's recognized it. Nobody gives a crap, you know? Just let it go. Just don't sit there and put it in people's faces in the same way I don't want heterosexuality put in my face or thrown or thrust in my children. I don't want a drag queen reading trans books to my children in elementary schools like we're seeing. Is that wrong for me being a parent? I don't want you teaching sexuality and that there's a difference with sexualities and that suddenly now there's like 15 different sexualities to my children. That's my job as a parent. And this nut job professor is taking that out. And dare if I say, that's my job, then I'm transphobic. Obviously, she would look at me today if she was sitting across the table like you are, Shep, and she'd say, you're a transphobic dude. You're a cisgender misogynist pig. And I say, and you're the nut job that wants to actually erase women from the history of mankind because you're pushing anthropologists to not identify between men and women based on the bones. Because, quite frankly, I think it does a disservice to finding out the history of mankind and women's roles. Because, you know, we have a perception, we sometimes say, well, they were in a minor role or they were dominating. Well, let me tell you, what we're finding from anthropology is that it was much more different. They were much more served, much more serious, much more equal in a lot of the cultures, and we need to learn from that. And in fact, one archaeology professor, Elizabeth Weiss, said that eliminating gender classifications in anthropology amounts to ideologically motivated fudging. I think that says it all. But this is what we're up against. And then my last leaning right moment, I've got to say, Herm, before we move on to your stuff with your great sponsor, is then we have that jackass, that balding ginger jackass, Prince Harry, and his stupid wife, Meghan Markle, coming to the United Nations and basically saying that the United States is a bad place to live and be. And where does he live? He lives in a $14 million state in Montecito, California. This jackass. He says, he's standing in front of the UN. From the horrific war in Ukraine to the rolling back of constitutional rights here in the United States. We are witnessing a global assault on democracy and freedom. Fuck you. I mean, you're going to bleep that out, right? I mean, you're
bonus points on the accent.
Monarch, thank you. It's more like Boney. Hello, dip-dee-doo. A little bit of McCartney in there, too. You know, this jackass leaves a cushy life in England and comes over here. Where's he come? You know, why does he come over here? Because it sucks.
It's the best place on earth.
Because we are committing a global assault on democracy and freedom and constitutional rollbacks. He has no idea. I bet he's never even read the Magna Carta, which came from England. I bet he thinks that's a credit card he can use to go buy a waterbed with. What a dickhead. I mean,
Say that again.
Dickhead. Dickhead. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. You know, what a pandering boob. Know nothing, do nothing boob that wants to sit there because our Constitution is written a certain way which enshrines the rights not expressly given to the federal government or reserved to the states. That's where the people are, and they determine their own destinies when it comes to the Dobbs case and abortion, the right of abortion, which has not been, you know, Roe v. Wade has been overruled, but that doesn't make abortion illegal. It makes it the determination of the states, the way the founding fathers meant to be. That's where the Constitution works. But he's like, an assault on democracy everywhere. Shut up. Go to Canada. Go back to England, you big dope.
Boy, he's on a roll today.
Man, this lefty lunacy is just getting to me, Herm.
But you know what? The good news, Senator, I'm going to try to bring you back off the ledge. It appears that people are starting to realize and starting to draw back or pull back from,
I think so.
You know, because you got, let's just face it, all of Hollywood, athletes like LeBron James, all these people like this, think when they speak a certain way or say a certain thing that everybody's supposed just to go along with it.
That's the
because
law.
It's what they say. And let's be honest. What is President Biden's approval rating at the moment?
33%. 33.
So it's people are starting to think for themselves, which is a welcome, refreshing, great idea that I'd encourage everybody that listens to this podcast to do. Think for yourself,
right, and
apply your. I said the other day, I had a meeting last week, you know, in Farmville with some political consultants, and one of the things I said, and you know, we've talked about political candidates saying this in the past, is like, if you think things are better for you now than they were 7, 8 years ago, if you think things are going in the right direction, you need to vote for whoever you think's going. Keep voting that way. But if you finally realize that there's more to trying to help people through the political process than just coming by every 2 years or 4 years and making empty promises to people just to get them to vote for you so you can continue trying to get them free stuff to keep them on your side until they vote for you again, then that's I think more and more people are starting to wake up and realize is I don't care what Prince Harry says, I don't care what LeBron James says, I don't care what all the actors in Hollywood say. This is how my life is right now where I live, and I need a different path forward for my government to work for me.
And Senator, talking about lunacy, you know, I think we all have friends of different preference. I'll say it that way. I know I do. I have some very close friends that have different preference than I do. Okay? I think that those people would listen to this professor and laugh in her face. I think that just the hypocrisy that this professor is propounding on the listeners is just crazy. I don't know anybody that would agree with her, regardless of their preference.
Well, it's the elites too. I mean, they are the elite educated class. She's never run a business. She went to school. She got a degree. She went and got a doctorate. Now they call her professor, which I'm sure she loves being called doctor.
Sure.
She's never done a damn thing in her life except work on tenure and maybe a book, okay, about stupidity like she's talking about. A guy like Harry has never done anything in his life, never had a job, comes over here, besmirches the character of his family, comes over here because he wants this kind of freedom, and then besmirches the very country that he's resettled in, and then tries to compare our Constitution at work or our Supreme Court at work on a ruling that he doesn't like because he likes killing babies. He conflates it with the war in Ukraine. One is not like the other.
So how do you think his small business would succeed with that attitude?
0.0 would be his income. But here's where they get off on doing that. People exalt or allow these people to even have a stage. You mentioned the people in Hollywood and the people, they're the ones, Harry is the one saying, climate change is one of the worst things that we can do to our planet with global warming. As soon as I finish my speech and collect my $500,000, I'm going to get on my private jet and jet across the Atlantic and burn a hole in the ozone. Pardon me. I mean, it's all right for me, but not for thee.
And we've talked about it with with gun controls and gun violence. How the Hollywood and the athletes and the elitists preach about gun control, and then, like you said, they do the movies with the most violent scenes ever.
Yeah, well, I don't know how much more. I'm loving these lunatic left moments of my leaning right moments, but I tell you what, we're going to keep bringing these to you because it's just hypocrisy. It's funny to laugh at, but when a guy like Prince Harry comes over here and wants to enjoy our freedoms and our liberties, enjoy our Gold Coast in California, and wants to do this, well, then don't bless the country. You may have some creative criticisms that we can help each other, but your elite BS left-leaning lunacy is not welcome here. You can get your ass right back to Sussex with that failed actress wife of yours. Thank you. And I'm sure we'll have him on Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator next week. Can you book that for me, Hermie? Aren't you friends?
Let's take a break and then come back and do our Turning Left moment to give you a moment to calm down.
I mean, he is ridden
But
face.
before we do, to lighten the mood a little bit before we go to break to come back to our Turning Left moment, would you like to mention anything about one of our most recent sponsor additions to the show, Manscaped?
Oh, wow.
I know you don't have anything written, but do you have anything off the top of your...
No, but Prince Harry chaps my balls, and maybe they've got some cream for that, okay? Because Manscaped is a great
How about the ball
sponsor.
toner?
I might have to after this, because I swear, they're on
moist?
fire right now.
They are?
Yeah. Because of Prince Harry. I mean, Dick. Do you agree with me? Am I
sure do.
overreacting?
I sure do.
I mean, if you're going to do this...
I could tell you had worked up a little sweat.
Yes.
So I was just curious if you could give us a testimonial about Manscaped as we go to break after
how the balm is working.
I'm still dry where it counts. How's that? So it works.
So it's great.
It is.
Well, so that's what people want to hear.
Yeah, it works. It works. But
and what's that discount code again?
Sadler. Put in your discount promo code Sadler at manscaped.com for all your products. Sadler, Sadler. Sadler.
Hey, and it will certainly help this podcast moving forward.
Oh, man, and it's a great discount. We've had a bunch of people order it. They're all swearing by it. I know Hermie's.
So you take testimonial calls about the product?
People calling me all the time. Yeah. I'm happy.
And you answer the phone.
Sponsors. Sure. Yeah. Sure.
I'm just saying, if the listeners
if it doesn't have Emporio on it, I'll answer.
If the listeners want to support the podcast, besides following us on Twitter, besides following the podcast
at
on Facebook,
Sadler Senator,
liking,
Facebook, leaning right, turning left at Facebook,
liking and sharing the post.
Yes. Sadler.
If you want
promo code.
If you want to help the podcast past that, use Sadler promo code at checkout at manscaped.com.
And they're great products.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, come back, hit our Turning Left moment, sponsored by Vista Installations, and preview our guest coming up in the second part of the day's show, Mickie James. We'll be right back. Hi, folks. This is Hermie Sadler. Thanks for listening to our all-new podcast, Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator. I hope you are enjoying the show as much as Senator Stanley and I enjoy bringing it to you. Whether you're a family traveling together or a truck driver hauling freight up and down the highway, I hope you will take the time to visit one of our Sadler Travel Plaza locations in Virginia and North Carolina. Sadler Travel Plaza locations are licensed dealer locations for Pilot Travel Centers, and we also carry Shell Motiva petroleum products for our four-wheel friends. We pride ourselves on providing one-stop shopping for service, food, and entertainment. Our food options include Five Guys Burgers and Fries, Quiznos, Dairy Queen, Hermie Sadler's Faux Show Bar and Grill, Victory Lane Restaurant, Hunt Brothers Pizza, Dunkin' Donuts, and much, much more. Our locations include Sadler Travel Plaza in South Hill, located off I-85 at exit 12. The Sadler Travel Plaza of Emporia, which is conveniently located on exit 11B off I-95, and Sadler Travel Plaza on Highway 58 in Suffolk. We also have our North Carolina location, Sadler Travel Plaza in Dunn, North Carolina. That's exit 75 off I-95. We appreciate all of our customers. And Bill and I appreciate you listening to Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator, powered by Pace-O-Matic.
Hey, this is Bill Stanley, Hermie Sadler's sidekick on this podcast. When I'm not in Richmond at the Capitol or doing this podcast, my real job for the past 27 years is as a trial attorney with the Stanley Law Group. Here at the Stanley Law Group, we represent our clients in every courthouse in the Commonwealth. No problem is too small for us to solve. No case is too big for us to win. Whether it's criminal charges, traffic offenses, civil disputes, litigation matters of any sort, we handle it all. We make sure that we treat every client like family because they are to us. Your problem is our problem. Your success is our success because we hate to lose more than we love to win. And believe me, we win a lot. Don't believe me? Go ask Hermie. I'm his favorite lawyer, and he hates lawyers. So give us a call at 540-721-6028 and let us help you. Or visit our website at www.vastanleylawgroup.com. That's www.vastanleylawgroup.com. At the Stanley Law Group, we'll make sure we're the lawyers that you swear by and not at.
And we're back, Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator, powered, as always, by Pace-O-Matic. Now, we want to get to some Turning Left.
I'm calmer now.
Take a deep breath, Sadler.
Woo. I know.
Woosah.
Prince Harry, not my favorite.
Prince Harry.
Woosah.
We want to get to some Turning Left moments. We want to talk a little bit of North Wilkesboro. Big week next week.
Coming up next
for
week.
Sadler Stanley Racing down at the historic North Wilkesboro Speedway. But before that,
yes,
unfortunately, I'm told, even though we don't have a sponsor yet, that we are entertaining another Hermie's answering machine.
Hermie's answering machine is becoming so popular, we are having to sort through all of the messages and pick one each week. I mean, they are pouring in. And
on top of the Beagle calls.
Right. 2,000 Beagle calls, about 850 Hermie Sadler's answer machine. You can always go on our Facebook page, the Leaning Right and Turning Left podcast on Facebook. And you go right there. It's right at the top. You click on it. You can record a message in Messenger. Leave it for us. If we got it, we'll play it. And then we'll have Hermie answer whatever question is presented in whatever statement you want to make. Be funny. Be serious. Ask a serious question. Ask a funny question. You've heard some real funny ones on here. This is kind of a funny, serious question that's coming at you right now. But it's a part of what is now the fabric of this great podcast that we're doing together. Hermie's answer machine, it's catching like wildfire in the Midwest during a 100-degree day. It's spreading all over the United States, just like the beagles that are being rescued from Envigo. This thing has got legs, and it barks, right?
If you keep on, I'm going to do another Turning Left sponsor mention from Vista Installation, so let's get to it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our newest installment of that great bit that we do, Hermie's answer machine.
Hi, this is Hermie. I'm sorry I can't come to the phone right now, but my wife Angie won't let me answer it because I'm too busy making pizzas at Fosho Bar and Grill in Emporia since our pizza guy quit, or maybe because I ran him off. Please leave a message after the beep.
Hello, my name is Eric, and I have a question for Sadler and the Senator. I would like Hermie to explain who is a better golfer on the golf course, him or Senator Stanley.
Wow.
Well, that's the shortest message we've ever gotten from Eric.
If
that was a text, it would have been 10 minutes long.
That was short and sweet and to the point.
Yeah.
It's kind of a serious question.
I would say let me set the tone. Because of our demanding work schedules, we both suck at golf.
Yes.
And I mean, you feel free to add anything you want. And the problem with my golf game is the more I play and the more I think about how ways to improve my golf game, I get worse. So I don't have a whole lot of hope for the future of my golf game at the moment.
I'm kind of with you. You know, when I moved down to Smith Mountain Lake, bought a lake house right there at Waterfront Country Club, my home course. Played a little golf, you know, but I was a lawyer working on a career. But I would come down every weekend and just play golf. And the more golf you play, the better you get. And so one day I shot a 79, which then I thought I'd cured myself of every yip that I'd ever had in golf. I knew how to play the game. And I shot in the 90s and 100s thereafter, because the distance that's most important in golf is the distance between your two ears. And so the least amount that I play, the better I am. But I will say, having played golf with Hermie, that he has one of the prettiest golf swings I've ever seen. A very smooth, very mechanically correct golf swing. He finishes at the top very nicely. It's a very smooth golf swing. He's not chopping at the ball.
Have you taken a lesson since the last time we played?
That's what I saw. These are my truths, okay? And but you know, and he's a lot of fun to play with. And
that's the main thing.
And that's the fun part. But I would have to say, because I don't play, you know, I haven't even played this year at all. I think the last time I played almost was with you.
Yeah.
And
I can't wait.
Yeah, and we might go try to get some golf in here before the end of the day. Just right across the street, we've got the Copper Cove, which is a good golf course run by my friend.
What's the course record over there?
Course record
2 hours and 45 minutes.
Maybe that. Yeah, of course. But Kelly Crovo, my childhood friend, is also the manager and a golf pro, and so we may go over there and see him. You played golf with him. We played in that tournament for the Capitol Police Association, but we have a good time playing. You know, I used to care about it. Now I really don't. I like to joke that golf is the sport where I go pay $50 to go in the middle of the woods and yell, "Damn it!" So
hey, I will say, as it relates to golf, that you may not know this yet, Senator, but through your able legislative aide, Brad Tuesday, I have booked you to come on Tuesday, September the 23rd, to come to South Hill, Virginia, to play on my team in the FEAT, Families Embracing Autism Together golf tournament at the South Hill Country Club in South Hill, Virginia. That is put on by the Calhoun family, Brian and Mandy Calhoun, great friends. They also have a child on the autism spectrum, just like Haley, and we're close with them and support them every year. So you will need to work on getting your game in tip-top shape. And our partners will be, we talked a couple weeks ago on the podcast with UNC basketball great Tyler Hansbrough, but he and his podcast partner, Brandon Sleep Staten, will be coming to be our partners in that event.
Podcast, playing for a good cause.
I tell you what, you might
We'll be commingling podcast.
Can you set up with a senator one of those video sessions with Nancy Lopez? I know you've done that for some of us in the past, with good success.
Yeah, Nancy would probably get a good kick out of watching Bill swing.
or quit golf altogether.
I've challenged her once before.
She would say, Bill would say, "Nancy, you're an LPGA Hall of Famer. What do you suggest I do after seeing my golf swing?" She would say, "Pick up tennis."
You know, and
don't get disbarred.
I used to say, you show me a lawyer with a 9 handicap or better, I'll show you a crappy lawyer who doesn't do his job very well. So my handicap is higher. It got lower for a while as I was a younger man, but
that was in putt-putt.
But I enjoy it. I enjoy it because I don't care about it anymore as much. And you know, I don't know about you, Hermie, but you know, I used to watch golf a lot, and so the British Open is always around my birthday. And it was the weekend before my birthday this time. And I don't know if I'm just getting out of it, but I couldn't watch it with the dedication that I usually would watch coverage. You know, I'd get up at 4 a.m. to watch the coverage live.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't care, you know, what time. I mean, I really got into that. And now what I find is an incredible noise neutralizer for a nap. And so I find myself watching that to sleep. I watch racing endlessly with my son, Chandler, but I just can't even watch it
for me, when
like
it comes to golf, I'm not talking about somebody's personal preferences or personal life, but to me, when Tiger Woods is playing, I'm more interested in watching just to see how he can perform. And it's been amazing to me how he's come back from so much, you know, not only physical, but, you know, all the other things he's been through to come back and play at that level, come back and win the Masters, then have a car wreck and really, I mean, almost lost his leg.
And then come back
and to actually even compete at a level that he does, now is interesting to watch. So, but when he missed the cut, that kind of did it for me. I don't care that much about.
Yeah, you root for him now, and especially as he's getting up into the ages that we are. Even though he's younger than us, still.
Think about athletes like him.
20
years ago, to many people, he was the villain.
Yeah.
And then he had all these personal issues and problems, and then people couldn't relate to him, and they hated him even worse. And now, in the twilight of his career, he's come back. He's all of a sudden nice on the golf course. He's talking to everybody, but we see that in racing with drivers. Now that Kyle Busch has realized that he really needs to get a sponsor signed pretty quick to continue his ride at Joe Gibbs Racing. Now all of a sudden he's putting all these nice little things on social media and meeting kids at the putt and taking pictures. But people a lot of times make that transition from hated to loved as they get older and later in life.
Towards the end of their career.
It's still time for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not there yet.
You're not
I can get there. But I tell you what, I think there's one more major in Tiger's future. I just have that feeling. That one comeback. When Jack Nicklaus won?
Maybe.
I guess it was the Masters, 45, 46? Mm-hmm. I think there's one in him. I
think if he hadn't got hurt this last time, but you can just tell after a day or two
he's
of
exhausted.
Walking, he's limping, exhausted, and I don't know what kind of mental acuity it takes to play at that level all the time, but you can just tell he's laboring to get around the golf course.
Sad to watch.
So let's turn left. Oh, let me get my sponsor mention rating.
Let's talk golf. What do you think of that LIV, that new LIV Saudi Arabian golf league?
I think
the turning left moment on Sadler and the Senator
conversation. Hold on.
is sponsored by Laura Stanley and Vista Installations.
Wow.
Laura has been running a successful window and door installation company and babysitting politicians for over 12 years. And we certainly are
12 years.
Over the moon proud to have Laura and Vista Installations as a very important primary sponsor.
Hermie, how long did you have to stay on top of her to get that sponsorship?
God, seriously.
That sponsorship
seriously
nailed down.
Well, really not as long as you might think.
Seriously, Shep.
really not that long.
I mean, I'm sure you had to get behind her and push some to get this thing home.
I mean, I will say she mentioned it was longer than she's accustomed to somebody being owner that way,
about an
advertising proposal, but
about advertising.
Nonetheless,
Okay. So you did better than a telemarketer.
Shep, seriously.
You didn't piss the senator off.
Here we go again.
I'm going to raise somebody's taxes. What's your address again?
Hey, so a big week for Sadler Stanley Racing as we put the car back on the track for what we hope.
Right?
One car of two races.
Right.
Yeah.
Have we gotten a third car yet?
You mean the Luna Yellow 16?
I'm not sure which one it is.
It's the Luna Yellow 16. So we've got the
Yellow.
22, which is our mainstay in the Smart Series. We've got what was supposed to be the 16. We turned into the 39 for wheeling and these specialty type races. And then we've got the Luna Yellow 16, which is the exact car color of the Sadler Motorsports.
The SMS.
Right. The auto that they drove, the race car that they drove, was that late model and Grand National and Busch. And it's beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful. I think, what are we waiting on for the third one?
But with the cars, the chassis has been painted, body panels have been painted. Just it's going together slowly but surely. So it'll be ready.
It's going to have a Yates motor in it, I hope?
Yeah.
Okay, so are we going to have it for Martinsville when you run in Martinsville?
Yeah.
At the wheeling race, which is the same weekend in the end of October, beginning of November, in the championship run for NASCARs.
That's right.
That's going to be fun. That's like a Friday night?
Wow. Maybe even Thursday night. I'm not sure. I'll have to look.
Okay. But you're going to
I'm going to run the wheeling race at Martinsville, and I'm going to run the Smart Modified Tour race at Motor Mile, just like last year.
That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I love when he gets out there in the car. I love to see him try to squeeze into the window, but I love he has fun, and he gets really serious right before race time.
I had the pleasure and the honor to be one of his invited guests at his last NASCAR race at Richmond.
Is that right?
Was it NASCAR? Is that what it was called, Hermie?
I'm communicating with somebody right now. Y'all carry on.
Texting. See, the podcast is like lower on his list of priorities now. Haven't you noticed that?
So it was the Busch series, which is now the Xfinity.
Yeah. How'd he do?
He did great. He didn't wreck.
What are you talking about?
finished.
Tell me again what you're talking about.
I had the honor and the pleasure to be an invited guest of
Welcome
yours
back,
to
by the
come
way,
to
Hermie.
your last Xfinity race in Richmond.
Oh, okay.
What, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah, I
Remember?
ran the Virginia lottery car because everybody was surprised that I ran the whole race. They're like, "You're fat and out of shape," and had no idea you were gonna run the whole race. But I finished like 14th or 15th.
Look, I took
really?
the golf cart up there.
It was
to-
Xfinity?
Yeah,
I had to take the cart up there to haul him around, and he had guests to come, and had to
I was a big
shuttle him
deal.
back
I
and
was a
forth.
big deal, yeah.
Big
It was a
time
big
everybody.
deal. It was an honor to be there. It really was. But I can tell you, I don't know what place he finished, but when he got out of the car, I met him where the cars pull in. He handed me he said, "Take this. I'm exhausted."
What did he take? What did he give you?
His helmet. He couldn't even carry
it was hot. I mean,
It was hot.
Better than his pee
It was
bag
in
or something.
September. It was in September. It was hot.
But I ran. I mean, even my dad said, "Damn boy, I didn't realize you're gonna run the whole race. That's good." And I'm like, "Yeah."
Well,
did
when you
good.
get in a car, you want to run the whole dang race, right? So you're going to be Motor Mile, and that's in like October, isn't it?
Yeah,
And
October
we usually we camp out on the backstretch. That's a lot of fun when we did before.
Yeah.
But we've got North Wilkesboro coming up, and you and I are going to be camping with the
We're
families.
going to be camping, and we're going to do a couple podcasts, get a couple special guests, a couple things in the hopper there at North Wilkesboro.
So what we're going to do is like a succession of hopefully interviews with some NASCAR greats, some of your friends that we're going to have on future podcasts. We'll do the front end stuff, but then we'll just kind of back in these interviews as it goes.
But the good news is there'll be a practice session on Monday, August 1st, and then there is a 55-lap open wheel modified race on Tuesday, August 2nd, and another one on Wednesday, August the 3rd. So Ryan Newman will drive for us on Tuesday night, and Jonathan Brown, John Boy, will drive for us on Wednesday night. So we look forward to that.
Two
And-
victories.
Now wait a minute. What's the 22? What shape is the 22 car in now? We got tore up a little bit at Caraway. We were on
We
our
got tore up
side.
a lot at Caraway.
Yeah, and it looked like
Front
some
clip
shit-
and rear clip.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's not cheap.
It's not cheap, but it's going back together, and that call will be ready when it's time for Jonathan to get back on the track in the Smart Modified Tour, which should be down at Carteret, September the 3rd. And while we got the car apart, I think I already said this maybe last week, but we are rebuilding the engine and some other things, getting everything tuned back up for a stretch run, hopefully to the championship in the Smart Modified Tour.
And that's a smart way. That's why you run the race side of our partnership, because I would have spent all our money by now and had us in every dang race we possibly could get in,
I was
and not
just
been
going to-
very judicious
I
about
was going to
the
ask
car.
him if he had to reach back out to Vista Installation for a little deeper sponsorship on that
Oh my God, Shep! I swear to God, I swear.
for the race team.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, what kind of car do you drive?
Sometimes you got to dig a little deeper.
How many tires are on that car? No, but so Vista is actually going to probably be sponsoring one of the races in North Carolina on the Smart Series Tour, a kind of a combination with Lowe's, their partner, that they do all the installations, doors and floors. Windows and doors. I should know that. And so it's kind of an appreciation for their workers and their installers and Lowe's professionals that they work with. So we're pretty excited about that. I'm excited about North Wilkesboro. I mean, I think you're going to see on the first day a lot of the stars coming out. I think you'll see, because it's a Tuesday, so you'll see a lot of NASCAR.
Yeah, the
greats
good
and-
news is with it being during the week, a lot of the NASCAR racers, not only drivers but crew members, crew chiefs, those kind of things, they will they're in town. They're not traveling, so they'll have an opportunity to come over to North Wilkesboro and watch these races. So
Yeah, I think that makes it almost a red carpet event, don't you?
well, I hope so.
Well, when hopefully we get some good interviews. Hope we can get Michael Waltrip, one of your friends there. Maybe they can come over and talk to us, and certainly, I was thinking even you take our mobile microphone and kind of do what you used to do for Fox, kind of do some on-site interviews, going up to all the people that might be there on the red carpet, and kind of having a little Hermie session.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, that's obviously a historical racetrack. I raced late model stock cars there back in the early 90s. Been a long time. I told the story, but I got my rental car, got built around the banquet frozen food hospitality area with Jimmy Spencer sponsor.
The truckster.
Back in the day, the Metallic P family truckster station wagon that I was, we had taken the crew down there at that time. But look, it's a once in a lifetime. opportunity to be involved in an open wheel modified tour race at that racetrack. So I encourage the fans that are listening to this podcast and come out and be a part of something really special and be a part of history. And I know Pace-O-Matic, our primary sponsor, and Senator Stanley and I, as part of SS Racing, and the whole team is really excited about having an opportunity to win a race at a place like North Wilkesboro. Those opportunities don't come around very often.
No, they don't. It's a historic race. I mean, it's been 20-something years since they had really, the asphalt.
That racetrack is funny because I remember driving it. You go down the front stretch, you go downhill to turn 1, and then the back stretch, you kind of drive uphill to turn 3. So it's kind of, it's kind of a unique aspect of that track. But the track is really abrasive. Tire management's going to be a real key.
Even on a 55 lapper?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Tires in the test session were wearing out in 25 laps.
You're kidding.
And I'm not kidding. So hopefully an experienced driver like Ryan Newman can help us. And, of course, Jonathan Brown does that kind of tire management, situation very well and does it, all the time in the Smart Tour. So we look forward to that, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So, Shep, what else you want to add?
Shep, are you going to be there? Wait, are you going to be there then? Can you get away from Boyd?
I'm going to try.
Your sales manager?
I'm going to try.
Allowing you to maybe get a little time?
Look, we've got a great team there.
Maybe we can get some Boyd Chevrolet sponsorship.
Maybe.
Going on. We got side panels that might be opened up.
We've got an awesome team.
Memory
there.
makers?
Memory makers?
Yeah.
Butts and butts?
Butts and butts? A lot of possibilities.
You might be butting heads with butts and butts shortly.
That's a competitor, Stanley Law Group's on the front near the engine. I don't know if I can have big butts and butts on the back. I like big butts. I will not lie.
I cannot lie.
But I don't know juxtaposed to the Stanley Law Group.
Look, we got a
Say
great
that
team.
again, Bill.
We got a great team at Boyd. They'll be able to handle it if I'm not there. Excellent sales team.
Okay.
Excellent.
Well, we want you to be a part of it.
Well, thank you.
Despite your,
Speaking of Senator
not doing
Stanley,
really well.
Contrary here today.
Yeah.
Speaking of Senator Stanley saying he likes big butts,
Yep.
I want to thank again Laura Stanley with Vista Installations. Laura has been running a successful window and door installation company and babysitting politicians for over 12 years.
Say that again?
Thank you, Laura.
Wow. Now, that's how you bring in a sponsor. From now on, you bring in a sponsor like that every time.
All right, that's enough for all that.
He's red again.
We'll take a short break, and we'll be back with our special guest on today's show, the one, the only, Mickie James.
Can't wait.
It'll never go away.
If someone relies on you financially, your spouse, your child, anyone, life insurance gives you the peace of mind that they'll have a financial cushion if something ever happens to you. By making it easy to compare your options from top companies, Goliath Life helps make sure you're not paying a penny more than you have to for the life insurance coverage you need to protect those you love. At GoliathLife.com, you can compare personalized quotes from top companies to find your lowest price. The process is fast and easy with no hidden fees, upsells, or hassles. Goliath Life is your one-stop shop to find the life insurance you need at the right price. Head to GoliathLife.com to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you can save. That's GoliathLife.com.
Are you feeling stuck making minimum payments on your credit card debt? SaveWithConrad.com can help, and you don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket to do this. NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Oh, and did I mention no house payments for 2 months? Get rid of your credit card debt and lower your monthly payments right now at SaveWithConrad.com.
And we're back. I'm Virginia State Senator and Hermie's only friend, Bill Stanley, and I'm leaning right.
I'm Hermie Sadler, and turning left. Finally, we get to our special guest on today's show. I know Shep knows our guest from his days working back in the UWF, United Wrestling Federation days, and I know you feel like, Senator, you know Mickie just from us talking about her.
Absolutely.
With you for the last 45 minutes to an hour, but so glad to have her on the show. Mickie, you've been a great friend and a great family friend of ours for a long time, and I appreciate you taking the time and being willing to come on Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator podcast, because I know you have no idea what the hell you're getting into.
I had no idea. I have no idea. I never do. I jump just feet first.
And
into
she's
everything
not
to see
even
what
asked
happens.
subject matter, question matter. She hasn't. We've briefed nothing.
She's a trusting soul.
Trusting soul.
It's about like showing up to one of the wrestling shows. Just go with it.
Go with it. Yeah. And you were. I talked to you
Booked and
Saturday.
blessed.
Talked to you Saturday. You in France?
I was.
And
I
what
was
were you-
in Beziers. I was wrestling, and it was an outdoor arena. It was at like a so I wasn't aware that they did bullfighting in France, but I felt like it was a bullfighting arena because it was like a big stadium outdoor. The ground was, it was definitely a bullfighting arena, but it was in Beziers. It was nice. It was hot because it was outside because it's all open, you know.
How many shows did you work over there?
Just one.
Just one?
Just one.
You went all the way for one show?
All the way for one show.
Wow.
Was that for Impact?
It was not. No, it was a promotion catch. It was a French promotion. And I guess a catch, something they called it out there. And I wrestled this girl named Shauna who had wrestled maybe 10 years ago, maybe more, maybe less. Last time, wherever I felt like I wrestled her in the UK. But I haven't been doing a whole lot of bookings like that. But it was a cool opportunity, and there was some cool, like Enzo was booked on it, Eugene, Tajiri was on it. He came from Japan, and then Ultimo Dragon. So they had some cool people there, and it was a cool venue and a cool. Plus, I never get to go. I felt like I've been to a lot of these places. I've never been to the south of France, but until then. But I go to a lot of these places, but I don't get to actually see them. Like when I was on tour and stuff, because we were only in each city for a day and a half, maybe. So there was a slim window of actually seeing the city. You know.
Did the French teach you how to say "I surrender" in French? Because that's all they do.
No.
You know,
No.
World War II, World War I.
My French is-
No.
No, I felt like I was using the translator. It was so sad. I'm like, I was using the translator just to communicate. But I took 2 years of French in school, and I took at the same time I had taken 3 years of Spanish. So I ended up speaking some sort of Portuguese a bit.
That's the mix.
Portuguese English, if you will. Yeah. So I don't really retain a lot of it. I can get by.
That's what most people.
sometimes.
That's what most people think. My normal accent from Emporia is some form of Portuguese. So that's another
true.
thing. Hey, so Mickie, I know some of the things we're going to ask. You've probably told these stories hundreds of times, but we've got a pretty unique audience as it relates to podcasts. We've got a NASCAR following because of my background. We've got a Virginia political and law type following through Bill's background. So maybe this opportunity is, for you. I know you're a native Virginian, but we may can introduce you and want to introduce you to some people that are hearing about you and learning your story for the first time. So I'd like to know, because I don't even know this myself. I've obviously followed your career for a long time, but tell us the story. I know you probably get tired of answering it, but why professional wrestling for you? What started that journey for you just a few years ago?
Just a couple years ago. Yeah. Just, like feels like it was yesterday.
Yesterday, right.
That was yesterday. I'm so grateful that I found wrestling and wrestling found me. I was a huge fan of it as a child. It was my father and I's and my sister's bonding, honestly, because my parents separated when I was 2. So when I would go see my father on the weekends or every other weekend, especially with his father as well, it was like we were watching, Georgia Championship Wrestling, or more like NWA and early WCW, because my dad was more of a WCW fan growing up. But then obviously, kind of fell out of it because I was more into my horses and stuff as a teenager, and then boys and cars and stuff. So it wasn't until, again, the Attitude Era, the latter 99, I would say 98, 97, that I was really just fell back into wrestling. I was out of high school. I really didn't have a lot of direction into what I was going to do with my life. And I was kind of like, what am I going to do? And a buddy of mine that was working at the bar that I was working at, and he knew I was such an avid fan, so he suggested it. He's like, hey, my buddy has a school, and it was outside of DC, so it was like 2.5 hours from Richmond, in Manassas. And that was the first I heard about it. I was like, oh my God, these people I just thought that they were like circus people, that they just found them like these, because they're so, you think about when I idolized wrestling, these these people that I saw were like the Andres and the Macho Mans and Hulk Hogan's at the time, and they were such large personalities. I just don't think that they existed in real life. And then even as the Attitude Era came up, like Stone Cold, the way they were presented was so larger than life. But it was really like the theatrics of it. The athleticism, obviously, but the theatrics is what always made me fall in love with wrestling and still stay in love with wrestling. But yeah, that's kind of how it all started. And I remember I walked into that school. It was in the back of a jiu-jitsu, kind of like a martial arts and boxing. It was a boxing ring. Kaida Pro, Jimmy Z was my trainer, and Shorty Smalls. And I walked in there that first day and I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. I love this. I could do this.
Do you remember your first match?
Yes, I do. It was I think it was in Stanton, Virginia at the VFW Hall. It was a tag match. It was myself and Jake Damian against American Mike Brown and Candy. Candy. No, it was just Candy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And what do you
it
remember?
was not
what do you remember about that match? It wasn't good?
It was terrible. It was horrible. It was
like your first day in court, Bill. Maybe not so great.
No, I won my first court case ever. Yeah. I almost got thrown in jail by the judge, though.
Oh, here's another story, Mickie. Bill's his claim to fame, his first big legal case was he represented Paula Jones against Bill Clinton.
That's correct.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
wow.
We were the ones that won the 9-0 Supreme Court victory that said the president was not above the law and could be sued for his private acts against a citizen. So.
And he's fallen all the way off the ladder to get to me.
And
slippery slope.
Without being addicted to anything or going to rehab, I get you.
It's a slippery slope all the way down.
So I just want, Shep has a lot of notes that he made and a lot of official questions for you, Mickie. So I'll let you.
Well, I don't know if they're official questions, but I think the listeners need to know in your career that you are one of only 5 women to have held 6 or more WWE championships. I think that's a great accomplishment. You are number 2 of 5 divas to have held both titles. You were the first Divas Woman Championship in 2009. And you won your first Women's Championship at WrestleMania 22. So what was it like, Mickie, of winning the Women's Championship on the grandest stage of them all at WrestleMania in probably front of 80,000 people? Explain to the listeners what that feels like.
It's really hard to explain it. It's really hard to explain. I always say, like, I wish I could have bottled up that emotion and given it away. Or, I mean, if I sold it, I would be so rich. Because it was the culmination of so many things. Like, because obviously, if you followed my career, you knew, like, that was 1998, November 98, when I first walked into a wrestling school, 99. So that was 2006 when I won that championship. And it had been a journey to get there. And it was, it's like any starving artist or person who's like really struggling. There were a lot of times when I was questioning my decisions, if this is what I, should be doing with my life, because it was a lot of struggles. And when I got to that moment, it was just like all that hard work, all those people that said, no, you'll never make it. I mean, I was from a girl from Montpelier, Virginia, right? So all these things that I just like in those moments just came back to me. And it was just like, yes, it was that finally I made it. That was probably not the debut on television, not the months leading into the storyline, like, because we were really blessed to have so much time, especially as women, because that didn't happen at that time. And me as a debut character to have that much time built into my character. I mean, I'm so grateful. And it really set the bar for the rest of my career. And it's probably why I've been able to stay around for the last, 16, 17 years on television still since then. But it was magical, man. I can't define that like emotion with one word, because I think that if you go back and there's pivotal moments in that match where you can literally see my emotions. Like, I'm just in that moment so much because I just allowed myself to get lost in it, because it was a once in a lifetime opportunity and chance that was happening. You know, it was never going to happen again, your first ever. And I couldn't believe it. And yeah.
Mickie, I got to say, the one thing that I'm most jealous of with you is the fact that you got to kiss Trish Stratus. I'll never forgive you for that.
I'm so sorry, but I'm not sorry.
No, seriously, and you may or may not want to talk about some of this stuff, and if you do, great. If you don't, I understand. But you made some headlines. I don't know and don't really care, none of my business, what your current relationship is with WWE or Vince McMahon or that group of people, but you made some headlines or some news maybe the last time when you exited the company. And maybe you can explain kind of what happened, something on the lines of they sent some of your clothes or things in a trash bag somewhere or something. And, that may be a normal practice, but maybe you were the first one to stood up. But can you kind of walk us through what that was like and what exactly happened and to those that really follow it that closely and what all that was about?
Well, obviously I was released in April and then had my stuff. So the women, and this wasn't the first time this happened because when I was released in 2010, I got my stuff the same way on my front door. The difference was 2010 Mickie James versus 2021 Mickie James. They're two different people. And so I remember the first time I got my stuff that way, I felt like I'd lost my dream job. So I was in this like real moment of, I was really down. I was very depressed. I was sad that I lost my dream job. I felt like it was all my fault. Probably was all my fault. However, then getting your stuff in a trash bag on top of it was just, it made it like almost
Now, when you get in a trash
validated.
bag, they send it to your house or you got it at an arena or how'd that work?
No, to my house. To my house. Yeah. And this time, actually, it was 2 boxes, 2 trash bags, because I had a lot of stuff. I have a lot of baggage, guys. But the women typically there's drawers that you would have with your name on it that you would keep because women have to, it's not just our gear, it's street fight clothes. It's, in case. So I would always keep jackets or different things in there. So this is pretty expensive stuff that's in there. Because it's all custom gear and clothes and jackets and stuff to wear for TV and TV changes and stuff. So, but I was not the only one that got my stuff that way. I think pretty much every woman that had a drawer in the last 10 years that didn't unpack her drawer herself and take it home and ship it home, that they had to ship their stuff home, got their stuff this way, It was just a practice, and I don't think it was like this practice of we think you're trash. I just felt like it was the easiest. It was a thoughtless thing, right. Actually. And that day, I'm a sarcastic person anyway. Hermie, you know this about me. Like I have a sense of humor about everything. If I try to find the silver lining or like whatever it is. But I remember I was getting ready to walk out of the door because I was getting ready to shoot the cover art for my single at the time, Grown Ass Woman. And so I was getting ready to walk out the door, and then I saw one of the boxes had arrived. And I was like, oh, great. I knew what I had in my drawer. So I was like, oh, I got jackets in there, and I wonder what's in this box. Let me go through it to see what's in there. And I literally opened the box, and then I opened it up, and there's the trash bag. And I was like, son of a bitch. Sorry, excuse me.
No, that's all right.
It's almost like you forget that they do that, and then you go like, oh, that's right, they do that. And I was like, oh, God darn it, man. And I was so and I had to walk out the door and do all the things anyway. I thought it was like, you know what? Why not? So I just did it pretty much as a joking, haha, but up yours kind of back, but not, I wasn't hateful. In a sense, I wasn't trying to be hateful because I am forever grateful for my opportunities and for my career and all that thing. But it was kind of how I felt. Sometimes you're made to feel on your way out like you aren't as valued as you are. And I think my career, the things I've been able to do since my departure is definitely, thank God, validated my worth in that sense. And I knows that I'm not trash. But it reminded me of that moment. It also reminded me of 20-some-year-old Mickie James when I first got released, and I was in this grouping of women who were all getting released at the same time. And I could only I completely went back to that version of me and go like, God, they must be devastated right now when their stuff arrives on their doorstep in a trash bag. Like, that's going to suck too. So I did it more as because I think, the awareness of it, or just to kind of shed light of we are superstars, and I think the public sees us in a certain way, but you would hope that the company would see you in that same way, but they don't always,
Didn't somebody from WWE reach out to you after that to
everybody
apologize
called me.
or whatever the case may be?
Yes. Stephanie called me and left a message. And again, I went out the door, so I was in the middle of this photo shoot, and I guess it had blown up online while I was in the middle of the photo shoot. So I had a phone call, phone calls. I looked down at my phone when I went to go take a break or whatever, and I realized I had missed a phone call from Stephanie, I'd missed a phone call from Johnny Ace, I'd missed a phone call from Hunter, and I'd missed a phone call from Vince. And so in the midst of that break, I called Vince back and talked to him and had a conversation with him. And he obviously apologized and we've done nothing, but, we tried to value your whole time here. And we certainly don't, I think that Vince was legitimately upset to find out that that's how, because it wasn't just me. What I think the real thing was what the amount of women after that goes oh, I got my stuff just like that. And I got my stuff like that as well. And I got my stuff like that. It's just a normal thing. It wasn't, it wasn't like a vindictive thing.
All right. So before I turn it back over to Shep, because he's got a question about James Storm that I want to hear you answer.
My God.
I'll ask you this. Are your days, as far as you're concerned, are your days in WWE over?
Who's to say? I mean, I didn't think I was going to be able to go back for the second run that I just had, It's, that all happened after I had my son. And I honestly, at that point, before I went back, was in that space of ready to move on to next chapter of what my life was going to be. And that's when that opportunity, it's funny, when you just kind of let it go, it's when it comes back to you. Right. And that's really how that kind of happened. And then I had the chance to go back and I grabbed it and was able to have another whole resurgence and run of my career. And, I'd obviously, I think that if it's the right thing in the right position and the right opportunity, because I'm all about bettering the business, especially for the future. And whether it be to wrestle, I don't know, because I can't wrestle forever.
So the old saying, never say never, right?
That's what they say.
Yeah, I was going to ask you,
It's
Mickie,
kind of like a double.
Yeah.
But.
how was the when you went back in January of this year for the one night crossover? How were you received? I mean, because you went on this journey twice with WWE. You did everything from wrestling to training to getting released to going back to getting the trash bag. So when you go back for the crossover night, how was that received? Or how were you received?
Oh my God, it was unbelievable. Unbelievable. And they were so kind to me, obviously. And
so that maybe kept the door open then.
Yeah, there were a lot of factors that went into making that moment happen, and I'm super grateful that both, WWE was open to working with Impact, and Impact was willing to, let me go on the show. And I think both companies won, and I won. And for me, it took away, because the last thing people remembered at that point, and it really started to it's sad because I have such an illustrious career, and I've had some pretty incredible feuds with these women who I, consider like the backbone of the industry for the women. And it was getting overshadowed by this trash bag moment. And I think that I'm a positive person, and to be able to forgiveness is a funny thing, on all levels. So to be able to say, we all agree that this was, not okay, but then this is even better, to the point of that was kind of what I really wanted, as far as, if anything, as an out for WWE, was something to be proud of, to hang my hat on before I stepped out of that role in the first place. So I don't even know what in wrestling I can do at this point to top it, because it was pretty awesome. I mean, it was groundbreaking. It was historical. It had never really been done before. The last person who walked into there with another company's championship represented was Jeff Jarrett, over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And
he's old as dirt.
So old. Did he just have a birthday? He's not old. He's like 55, isn't he?
Look,
that is not old.
Jeff is
that is not old.
Not old.
Jeff is one of my best friends. I've known him, really since the early 90s, and our families are close, and we vacation
I know
together.
he gets invited to the lake.
Wait a minute
he gets
now.
invited
Wait a minute
to
now.
parties.
Right.
I'm very aware.
I know, right? I know, right?
Have you never been invited to the beach or to the lake?
I got invited to the lake this one time on Wednesday when you were going on Saturday.
That's early. That's early.
You're not alone, Mickie. You're not alone.
But
thank you.
All this talk about
best friends in the world.
All this talk about WWE. I really will always have a soft spot in my heart also for Impact, and TNA as well, because the very first show they had in Huntsville, Alabama, all those years ago, I was there. Jeff and his dad called me, and I went down to just try to help them. I was still actively racing at the time and doing television, trying to help them get some crossover media attention. And we went from there to the Wednesday night pay-per-views at the TNA Asylum, we called it, in Nashville. And so
$9 a show.
Yeah, $9.95.
$9. Hermie, I was there in Huntsville too. You may not remember a little Alexis Lurie in the 25 Diva.
Yeah.
Did I?
Oh,
I was nobody to big time you. Are you kidding me?
Shoot me like a fly. Yeah.
I did not. That's a lie. That is a lie. I was in a 25 women battle royal.
Yeah.
Look, I don't want to jump too far ahead in your music side of your career, because I think it's important for your fans to hear about that side too. But since we're talking about wrestling, 2014, you do a deal with Cowboy Troy and Cowboy James Storm. Now, I met James Storm doing the shows with Hermie way back when, and we had a personal relationship outside of the wrestling. We got to be somewhat what you would call friends. I had no idea he could sing. It's no way in hell you can tell me he can sing and carry a tune.
Who?
James Storm.
Oh, so you're trying to say that they altered his voice in there?
Yeah, something happened. Can he sing?
I've only, because obviously he did that, song with us it was Cowboy Troy's song. That was so fun. That was a great time. I was honored to be on it. But the only other time I've heard James Storm sing was in the bar, and he may have had a cocktail or two. So I don't think I can give a fair assessment.
I was going to say the biggest one. Look, I've made many mistakes in my life. I'm here. One of the biggest mistakes I made was one night in Charlotte trying to drink whiskey with James Storm, and I had to go out of town the next morning to go race somewhere, and I ended up staying I was doing that heavy duty dry heaving, and my eyelids got all spotted up, and just messing with that sumbitch. He is a professional. He is a professional
drinker. Yes, Yeah.
So did Cowboy?
Whiskey is not something.
Did James Storm sing or did he not sing? Did y'all Milli Vanilli him in there?
He did sing on it.
Oh, he did? Okay.
No, he did sing on it. Yeah, he had already recorded his bit when I got there to the studio.
So you don't know. You really don't know if it was him or not.
He was there at the studio when I was recording, so I feel like it was him. He kind of helped present the opportunity.
She's not going to say.
You may have opened up a nice.
She's just not going to say.
I did not.
Scandal.
Here's the thing: is I did not see him singing. So I can't say yes, it was him singing, because I could be lying. But it was his voice, and he was there, and he is on the track. So perhaps James Storm is a man of many talents.
Oh, yeah. Well, Mickie, here on the podcast, we're always talking about supporting small business, and especially here in Virginia. And, I was reading back when you did your second record back in 2013.
Look at you with all the information.
Moz is such a fanboy.
Damn.
If you,
Somebody's got to do the homework.
Mickie, if you need a stalking stay away order for this cat, just let me know.
I'm not a mark, Mickie.
I'm an
I just
excellent
do my
attorney.
homework.
I can get him served before this interview's over.
Because we're always talking about smart business, you did something really kind of pioneered at the time. You did a Kickstarter program to raise money for that.
I did.
So in essence, you were kind of small business in your own right.
Yeah.
So what's the question?
Which was really.
There is no question. It was open for her to talk about
businessy.
They always told me when I was working for Fox, you have to ask a question.
You know, Mickie, I apologize.
So what we do is when we pontificate on the floor of the Senate, we say, and they say, you haven't asked a question. You go, isn't that true? So the end it with, isn't that true?
Isn't that true? Isn't that true, Mickie?
Yes, that is true.
See?
That is true. And the Kickstarter program was something I was a bit apprehensive of, and it was my management company because I hadn't been picked up by the record label. I'm super grateful for that because, one, I think the fans that donated into that campaign, because you obviously offer things on the back end, like they became executive producers on the album or got credits within the title and thank yous in the credits of the album, like on the inside, and phone calls to video shout outs, different things like that. And this is obviously pre all these platforms now that they're doing, like from Patreon and OnlyFans and all that.
I mean, you raised $16,000.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it was but beyond. And I just wanted something to kind of assist, because if you know anything about like going in the studio, it's expensive. It's very expensive. And my first album I did all by myself, and I was not funded, but I'd left WWE and I really wanted to get a killer project together, and I'd had different like quotes come in of like what it was going to take. So I went in, and that allowed me to do the 6 songs for the album. And then with those 6 songs, I was able to pitch them to different record labels, and that's where I got signed with E1 Music Nashville.
See?
And so they picked up those 6 songs and completed the album. I went back in the studio. So it took longer to get this album out, but the record label still held true to the Kickstarter deal, and still we did all the credits in the album and all the thank yous and executive producers on the album to the people who donated in the Kickstarter program. Yeah, I was super grateful, because I don't know that I would have gotten picked up by the label to be able to put out that second album and that second,
Hermie, did you donate to Kickstarter?
Did I donate?
I don't know.
That's a no.
I don't know. You're not in the credits, Hermie.
You're not
but
in the
you
credits.
Donated your love and your time. It's okay.
He was too busy not inviting you to the lake. That's why he didn't. Jeez, Hermie, you didn't give her Kickstarter money?
Right.
I mean, all that Sadler money you couldn't.
I don't remember if I did or not, but I have, when I could, tried to line up things to give her opportunities to do things along the line. I mean, I'm sure I've fallen short.
He just gave me a dirty
like
look.
I have in my adult life on many occasions. I'm sure I could have done more.
He just gave me another dirty look. You just gave me 2 dirty looks in a row. Damn it!
Hey, so
I'm asking probing questions, not the kind of fanboy stuff that Shep's doing over there, and you give me dirty looks.
Yeah.
It's called putting over. You'll learn.
Is that right?
Hey,
okay.
What is this show that I see you doing? GAW, Grown Ass Women. Can you tell us?
You mean this? Oh, you mean this right here?
That. I see it, but I need to know more about it.
Professional. Gaw Television, Grown Ass Women Television.
Sit up again.
Gaw TV.
We didn't see the shirt.
Grown Ass Women Television. This you can buy on our store. It's available.
See?
For all, if you're looking out there for your grown ass woman, or if you have a grown ass woman, she'll appreciate it.
Do you have a website for that?
Yeah, Gaw TV, GAWTV.com. It's a podcast. We started it, my girlfriends and I started it in the pandemic, in the middle, because we were all at home.
Trish
trying
on
to
that?
figure out what to do. Trish has, but we've done an episode with Trish. We've done we're pretty much 200 episodes in now, and it's a podcast as well, the Gawcast.
And I've never been invited. Never been invited to be on that.
I wonder why.
Well, and we have Gams on, grown ass man.
There you go. That's why you've not been invited. You're not one of them.
So who are the regulars on it?
It's myself. It's Lisa Marie, who was Victoria.
Yeah. Right.
Also Tara. And it's SoCal Val, Paige.
Yeah, I know Paige.
So SoCal Val. Yeah, she's an interviewer, and she was a backstage interviewer, but also she's a host. She does a bunch of different stuff with Fight TV, and she's actually the brains of the show, we couldn't do it without her. So we decided, we had also talked about doing different things before, and I think it was just COVID allowed the time, because we were at home to do it, and we were going stir crazy, and I was going to go out of my mind if I didn't do something. So we started it, and now we're 200 episodes in, and
are you making?
It's
I know
so
you're doing
fun.
it for fun, but are you making money with that also?
Yeah, we are. I mean, not like I couldn't retire, right?
Yeah.
But we are making money, and it's fun, and we've been able to do different events, like charity events as well. We started this Dresselmania that we're doing annually, which are, we have women from the business to donate these gowns to go 100% to different charities. This last year we did to NAMI Communicate with Tag Me In for mental illness and for mental health because we lost our friend Shannon Daphne. So we did that. And the year before, we donated the proceeds to Girl Up, which was a foundation that was with WWE, because I was with WWE at the time, that was partnered with WWE. So yeah, I don't know who we're going to do this year, this third year, because we're going to come up on our annual third one. But yeah, we started it for fun and didn't have like a lot of expectations, and honestly didn't know how long it was going to last, because they say you have to get past your first, 30 episodes or something, but it's been so much fun, and I don't know, they've really helped me, if nothing else, get through the pandemic.
All right, I'm getting ready to explain to y'all why I didn't invite her to the lake.
I want to hear this.
He needed 5 minutes to think of an excuse, and now here it comes. Ladies and gentlemen.
I'm going to give Mickie a chance to give her side of the story, but I invited her, and I think Nick came back. And I think we were promoting something. I had set up a TV interview for us to promote something wrestling related or whatever. But I was racing I think I was driving in Denny Hamlin's short track showdown race, I believe. And so Mickie and her family show up to the race. And I'm like, hey, y'all, Mickie James is coming to watch me race. This is going to be fun, da-da-da-da-da-da. And so we do driver intros. I start the race. And as I'm leaving pit road to start the race, I see him all in the pit box. Well, first time I come down pit road, a few laps into the race, I look up while they're changing my tires. I'm like, well, damn,
Mickie,
she gone already. And so my story is you were there, but you left before we ever got to turn one when the green flag dropped. And I'm like,
how could you?
It'd be like if I invited you to the lake, you wouldn't even get in the pool.
I'm appalled.
Yeah. So before we finish this story up, I'd like to hear on the record and on this podcast and on TV, why in the hell would you not want to see me make one lap?
I did watch you do more than one lap.
Well, you didn't pass anybody in 3 laps, so I left. That's what you told me one time.
Sounds like a really good use of her time.
How long can I watch you lose? It was heartbreaking.
Hey, tune into this podcast. You got a lot of that coming.
I'm trying to remember, and we go through this story so many times, but this was probably the time that I asked for, this is why I asked for your mom's jalapeno jelly recipe, because that's when I had the jalapeno jelly.
Yeah.
And we had pre-gamed on the bus, I think, prior to going over there, and it was hot.
Yeah.
And
you had a little red car, that little red car, before we even got to turn one, I saw the little red car, I could see it flying out of the speedway. Little red convertible.
You must have been driving really slow to be able to see all that.
Keep your eyes on the road, it seems, was not being followed.
I was. But I can't even really officially say that Mickie came to watch me race, because she came but she ate my mom's jalapeno jelly, and that was it.
You came to watch her race away from the track. That's what you did.
She raced.
And you recall, I think I had an early flight the next day, too.
Oh, yeah, sure.
That I had to fly out of town.
Like 3 p.m. So, Mickie, where are we at today? What are we doing today? Where are we at? We're still on Impact?
When are we going to the lake? When are we going to the beach?
Where are we at? We're still on Impact?
I have been doing Impact. Well, actually, I just had a match, and I'm in this... kind of said it earlier. I was like, I don't really know what else I can do in wrestling. I'm kind of at this impasse, because I've had these last 2 matches on Impact that I've lost. I just lost to Chelsea Green.
So we're both losers. We got that in common.
Yeah, but people stay to watch her lose.
Shut up, Bill.
I can't.
That's all right. I hope you have one more match somewhere close to me, because I'm going to come to the show, and as soon as they ring the bell, Hermie's getting the hell out of there. Gone.
Where'd he go? I thought you were going to say, I'm going to throw tomatoes. I'm coming to watch you lose.
You can be her manager and just walk right out.
Walk right out.
Yeah. There you go.
So
there you go.
Are we doing anything musically? We got any projects going on?
I've been in the studio. I had just had a single come out called Pissed. I have the video getting ready to come out, but I'm going back in the studio to do a song. It's called Sandbar Sunsets, which is a summery type of song.
That's cool.
that I wrote with a guy, Jake Hill, and my friend Sean Gassaway. And that's all I've been doing is writing and doing single by single because I wanted to get to a place where I could do the full album that was all originals that I've written on. But there's also this, I don't feel like people buy full albums as much anymore.
Just downloading songs.
Because everything is streamed.
Sure.
Right, so they just download single by single. So there's, unless you are going to put out like a vinyl record or like something and you're super over, you know, to put out a collector's item kind of thing. People just don't buy CDs anymore, and they don't buy, vinyl is kind of the new thing that people are buying as collector's
Yeah, it's coming
items,
back.
you know?
Yeah, the vinyl's coming back.
It's a year lead time. I looked into it. It's a year lead time to get a vinyl record done. So you have to have everything done. And
So you know, you guys have been fanboying it up about the wrestling and stuff, and I'm listening. What a fascinating life and career. But you know what I'm seeing, and I'm reading through the notes that we have here, is that your heritage traces back to the most impactful, important tribe in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the Powhatan. And Chief Powhatan, of course, a famous chief. And your involvement, it seems, really in the Native American heritage is very important to your life. Give us a little explanation about that, how important that is, especially with that rich heritage with the greatest tribe in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Oh, thank you so much for talking about that. I really appreciate
not a problem. That's why I'm back here in the corner in the dark.
No, I really do. I'm super, because even still today, there's a lot of people, my fans even, that will, when I post something that's from a powwow or from my Native American heritage, there's still people that comment and go like, oh, I had no idea that you were Native American. And I guess perhaps because I didn't do a Native American character on television, because there's so many layers as to why I didn't do that.
Sure.
But it's really, really important to me because, you know, my grandmother grew up on that reservation, on the Mattaponi reservation, for a lot of her childhood. And, you know, my mom grew up on that reservation. So
in King William County?
You know, in King William, Mattaponi reservation.
So I represent the
oldest reservation.
Yep, the lower Mattaponi. They're the oldest.
Yep, that's what I was going to ask you.
Yes.
When I was getting ready to say, I was like, because I've been talking, you know, in conversations with, there's just been a lot that's happened in the last year, I'd say, on our reservation, which I'm very, very excited for.
Yes.
But that's what I was going to ask you earlier, because I was like, in a different conversation, it just switched and triggered in me. And that
what she's talking about is I represent the lower Mattaponi chief, the new chief. And the old chief had 17, we call it the Mattaponi 17, who were wrongfully arrested for protesting on a reservation being communal property, protesting the indignancies of the current chief, Costello. There's a lot of Costellos in the Mattaponi. And what he was doing was not holding fair elections and wouldn't let women who were official members of the tribe vote or participate in tribal council meetings. And I mean, here we are in the year 2021, 2022, and this kind of sexism is going on in our most celebrated Native American tribe in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And so myself and Tony Troy took up the mantle to fight for them and are continuing to fight for them now to this very day. And I'm very honored and privileged to represent the lower Mattaponi. We were able to win some great victories for them. All their trespass charges were dismissed. We're still fighting a couple here and there, especially one involving the new chief's brother. The other chief will not give up the reins of power. There's a lot of layers going on there, but some really, really, really wonderful people. Of all the people I've represented, I'm most proud of that, I think.
Who's fanboying now?
She is of me.
Thank you so much. I am.
Don't let him fool you, Mickie.
So grateful.
She's talking.
Senator Stanley's a real prick. Don't let him tell you anything different.
You got to be
we all have to be a little bit.
Yeah.
We all have to be a little bit. No, yes. I'm really, really grateful because it's, you know, a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot, you know, it goes so far back and it's so deep and there's so many layers, like you said, to it. But like you said, that women were not allowed to own land.
Right.
On the reservation, the way it was written, women were not allowed to vote, not allowed to come to tribal meetings, to council meetings, and not allowed to sit on council. And for the first time in history, and since, I mean, a woman had been chief of the tribe, mind you, back in, I want to say like the 1700s, latter 1700s, a woman had been chief of the tribe.
Yep.
So it wasn't something that this was our culture's way. This was European influence, and those things that had kind of changed it from a matriarchal society to a patriarchal society. So, and things evolve and things change, just as, women's lib and all these other things. But still here in 2022, when, you go to apply for like your tribal recognition and all these like things that you seem to, and there's a lot of things that have happened obviously since, all of this, but my mom was nominated. So because of you, my mother is now sitting on this new tribal council. And for the first time in history.
Who's your mom?
The Sandra Knuckles, Lady Skywater.
Oh, hey.
Yes.
I know your mom.
Yeah.
Hey guys,
my mom.
Can you give us about 15 minutes? We're just going to have a chat. She is awesome, by the way.
The best. Yeah, she's
what
great.
What an
Thank
honor
you.
to represent her too. And we do that, of course, no charge, because it's the right thing to do. And we're just trying to right so many wrongs, and they're trying to deny even her seat on tribal council now.
Right.
And it's going to devolve into a lawsuit. I'm going to use my legislative abilities to try to change this. I mean, we give them federal or state recognition. State lands were put to the reservation to preserve it. We are in a trustee relationship by a treaty. Our Secretary of the Commonwealth and the Attorney General should be overseeing this. They're not doing their jobs, and they're allowing these unbelievable things happen on a reservation where equality, it's 2022, ladies and gentlemen. This should not even be an issue, but it is. But do tell your mom I said hello, and I think the world of her. Thanks.
I will. Thank you.
Small world,
I appreciate it. It's such a small world, small circles in this world. I know. But it's been really amazing. And I
kick butt in court, by the way. Her mom will tell you. I kick some serious butt. I had
you have just made his day.
I had the old tribal chief in my crosshairs, man. And he's bald, except he's got this giant, tiny little ponytail that goes halfway down his back. And that thing was shaking back and forth. I had him worked up so bad. He didn't like me. But yeah, that's all right.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was fun.
And it's hard because, it's splitting the family in a sense. And like people, it's hard with even, I think, within the tribe, because I feel like you said, they're all Costellos. It's so deep rooted. And so people, feel this loyalty to the old ways but it doesn't mean it's the right way, and so I just feel like we've evolved so much, and we've evolved as a culture. And the last thing that we need to do is close off doors to people who want to celebrate their heritage and want to be a part of the tribe, because we are the minority of minorities, which is why I feel like it's been able to kind of slip through the cracks on all these things because of it's a reservation thing and it's tribal land. It's like you have to deal with your own issues, and then the state says, oh no, this, and then it's like, oh, that's a federal issue, and it's like you constantly kind of get tossed around, and because you have such a small voice and all these screaming voices that it becomes just a whisper in the corner, and it's really sad to think that the ones who populated 100% of this continent is now less than 4% of the American population. And that's why, native rights have become one of these things that is way down on the list. And I think that's why it keeps getting overlooked. And like all the hard work you're doing, I'm so grateful. And for, Ginger, and for the new Chief Lonnie, like he's so smart, and like it's all for the greater good and to open it up so many more opportunities for our tribe, and Amen. I'm really excited about it. And I know it's growing pains, and it's hopefully we all come to this common place of like what's best for the tribe as a whole. And
that's the most important thing, because, a divided tribe allows government overreach to come in. A divided tribe allows people not to recognize rights that are granted to them by the Creator, as are granted to this tribe. To keep it small, divide them all, that's not good for the Lower Mattaponi. And, and Lonnie's a great guy and a true determined man to make it right. I love me some Wahoo. He's the one still fighting against the current ex-chief who just won't give up the job, Mark Costello. Yeah. And so I get to go fight for Wahoo. So Wahoo, here's a great story for you guys. Because really, you should get involved. There's a lot of press coverage on the travails of the Lower Mattaponi and what we've been doing in court. Mm-hmm. So Chief gets this protective order because they dared to walk up to his house and say, you know, we would like the women's right to vote. A peaceful protest. In fact, it was so peaceful afterwards, they go down to someone else's house and they may have a barbecue grill. Chief goes out and gets protective orders, which, you know, in a protective order in Virginia has to demonstrate that you're in fear of imminent violence, danger, sexual assault, attack. He writes out this stuff. The sheriff gives him the protective order, which we went and fought and won, of course. So it was a bum protective order, should never have been given in the first place. So while the protective order's in effect, Wahoo, who's one of my clients, is driving by where the Mattaponi school, where the tribal council is supposedly having their meeting. The chief is supposedly looking out the window, sees Wahoo's truck drive by, and swears, even though Wahoo has a tinted truck, windows, on the side windows, that Wahoo from 30 feet, maybe more, 45 feet, gave him the finger. Seriously, had him arrested. Wahoo spent 5 nights in jail on a cold floor with no communication with anybody until we found out to get him out. This is to the lengths that this person is willing to go. And these are facts. These are not my opinion of the facts. Giving him a finger. Now, we go to try this case. We're coming up to try this case. You think this, pardon my language, jackass could tell that he was giving him the finger and in front of the window were the other tribal members and then it was meant for him? This is how egocentric, egomaniacal, in my opinion, this chief is. And he's willing to put one of his own flesh and blood, his own fellow tribe members, in jail for the cost. And what's the cost? Power. That's a sad day. And so I'm going to go up there and we're going to get Wahoo out. But Lonnie's a great new chief, and I hope Virginia recognizes him. I'm working with the Commonwealth of Virginia, Secretary of the Commonwealth,
I know,
to make sure that recognition
I've been
happens.
praying about it. I've even tweeted at him, like hoping that would, because I'm like, that one thing I can hopefully use is my voice and as much as I can, just because it's awareness, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's awareness, and the more people know, and I really want, you know, maybe some of the families who have been alienated out of the tribe or perhaps don't know that they're a part of our tribe. I want them back into the tribe so we can grow because, you know, I think it is very important. It was so important to me to keep our heritage alive, and to my grandmother, like when we would go to the powwows, like there is a true sense of peace I find, like in my culture and in my heritage, and that's just me on a spiritual level. But I just think it's really important for the future of our people, and just for the future of the nation, because it is such it's in the fabrics of this country, and so we really need to take care of our native people, and I think they're a forgotten people a lot of times. And I know that this isn't an issue that's just happening on our tribe. I know this is, you know, nationwide, that this is, I mean, even in Canada with the children's schools and stuff, it's come out. Like, I think there's been some severe injustices done, and there's these weird things that are even happening between these treaties, or like these old laws, or like these senses, like you said, power or money. And especially when you talk about state and federal funding, and that's really the root of it.
It is.
Because we just want to make sure that it's going to all the right places, like fixing the roads and opening the shattery and all the things like that, you know, to bring people back to the reservation. When I was a kid, we would go there, and I don't even see this happening. Like, I remember going there for field trips as a child, and it was fun for me because I'm like, I know this place like the back of my hand. We come here all the time. But for my friends, you know, as a child, to come experience the reservation for the first time, it was really very cool from my perspective, because I was very aware. But then for them to see something, you know, for the first time. But now we don't even do field trips. Schools aren't even going there anymore.
Wow.
You know? So, yeah.
Yeah. And
I got to tell you, this has been, I had no idea that there was this connection. Bill, you may not even have put it together.
Had no idea.
I mean, this has turned out to be, I mean, it's kind of emotional. I'm not even really in it. And I'm like, I see the passion you're talking about, and I can see it in her face too.
Absolutely.
And see, Mickie, one of my best friends has been helping you all along, and you still won't come to the lake, and you will not watch a full race of mine.
I will come to the lake. I'm waiting for the invite.
After we go to Lonnie's Mattaponi winery, which let me tell you, have his wine. You've got to taste it. It's wonderful, and they're trying to mess with him even in the ability to do that. It's just a mess, but I'm dedicated to straightening it out and protecting and standing with them because it's the right thing to do. And she hit the nail on the head when she said, basically, we have not only screwed this up really bad from the beginning as a nation and a people, it is our obligation to fix it. And in the ways that we try to fix it, which, the only way government can fix it when they do it wrong is money. And that's the problem at the top of these tribes. And some of the tribes, not all of them, some are very well run. I mean, there are tribes in Virginia with chiefs who are women and are wonderful and have federal recognition. The lower Mattaponi do not. The upper Mattaponi do. It's a difference in terms of being able to have money, which this tribe could use very much to fix the roads, fix the school, fix the houses. There are allegations that people are being denied membership, even though ancestrally and by blood they are entitled to be recognized as members of this tribe, because to let them in might change the dynamic of power. They're keeping federal recognition because someone decides, well, they can take certain monies and correct me if I'm wrong, Mickie, but if you take the federal money, then you have to allow women to vote. You have to allow these other people in. And so it really is a matter of control and authority and power. And what it does is it ruins the legacy for those that come after. And for that, I will stand and fight. And see, you do have a lot in common. I'm your lawyer. I'm her family's lawyer.
I don't even think Mickie even knows this, but Bill and I teamed up together. We've known each other for years, but teamed up to sue the former governor of Virginia over government overreach, basically shutting down aspects of small businesses because of outside interest and corruption in the government and all that. So he and I have sued the governor of the Commonwealth of the Virginia that I live in. And it sounds like some of the same things that have been going on the statewide level is the same thing that's going on in y'all's community as well. So, Bill, I give Bill a lot of credit. But this has been awesome to...
Free Wahoo.
Yeah.
Free Wahoo.
I can tell you what I've learned.
Free Wahoo.
She's not coming to the lake, but she is coming to visit Bill Stanley. She's not coming to the lake.
I'm right here. Listen, it's a great fight, and it's a great fight to have. And, and there's even crossover because another tribe, of course, the casinos are trying to utilize their tax-free status and their sovereignty to place a casino in the Portsmouth, Norfolk area. So... the abuse of this is widespread, government, corporate abuse, and internally. And what we've done is create the situations that the lower Mattaponi are in. It's our obligation as a government to fix it. It's my obligation as a lawyer to fight like hell to beat back any kind of unfairness. And we're dedicated to that purpose, and we're going to win. And I do it alongside my law partner, former Attorney General Tony Troy, and the ACLU, which demonstrates I'm a Republican, but you can march right up and you can have identical beliefs and fight for the same things and maybe sometimes not be on the same political spectrum. But this one's an important fight to make.
Yep.
And we're going to win, by the way.
I preach that all the time.
Hermie, you didn't tell her that we also kicked the governor's ass in one.
We are kicking the governor's ass,
just to give her more confidence that we're going to win in this Mattaponi case. So,
and
Mattaponi wine, make sure you get the Mattaponi wine. He makes great cabinets, kitchen cabinets and stuff.
Hey, look,
Lonnie's a great guy.
This has been, and look, I'm on after the show. I'm gonna connect Mickie. I'm gonna connect you and Bill so y'all can keep in touch. And I know you'd love to keep up what's going on, and y'all can do that. But I got to say one more thing before we go. Mickie, we opened up this show today, and look, of all the things that my family loves about you and your family, my favorite thing is that you're one of my daughter Haley's special friends. And no matter,
I adore her.
You never know when she wants to call or what she's got to say. And sometimes she's decided to call you, and you've been in the middle of 500 other things, but you've always been open and willing to speak with her and be a friend to her. Tomorrow, when this podcast drops on Thursday, the 28th of July, the 29th is Haley's birthday. So we have dedicated, at the top of this show, we dedicated this show to Haley Drew. So she'll be ecstatic to know that you were on the show today. And I just wanted to personally and publicly thank you for being the person that you are for a number of reasons, but certainly as it relates to Haley, because she has an ability to brighten people's days, and I hope she does yours at times when you hear from her.
So how about a little happy birthday to Haley, Mickie James style?
Oh, I will. Well, first I want to say that I adore Haley, and I answer because her soul just shines through, and she's, especially if I've had a bad day, and like, it's almost like a gift, like when she calls, because it's so pure and just love.
Yeah.
So, I appreciate that. So I love Haley as much as she loves me. So Happy birthday, Haley. I love you so much. I'm sure hopefully she calls me. Maybe I'll call you on your birthday.
Yeah, she'd love to
FaceTime,
get a
of
phone
course,
call.
because that's the only way we do it.
Yeah.
FaceTime is the only way.
And Haley's going to hate it that you never invited her to the lake. I rat on you on that.
Yeah, we'll plan a little FaceTime call on Haley's birthday. But Mickie, thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. You're a great friend, good person, and you've accomplished a lot. But this little connection that you made with Bill and everything that y'all could
thank you for
do
all
together.
Of
That's
better
great.
than
Bill, thank you for all your work and all your continued work and for taking your time and energy to fight for our tribe and for our people, because it really means a lot. And
This
the more I've
means-
just
so Bill-
studied and grown over the last, I've just learned a lot, because it was, once you start pulling back and doing your research, and then you realize, and it just kind of all comes out. You're like, oh my, there's so much to unravel, but I appreciate you so much.
I'm going to throw my little notes away, Bill.
Well, you're very kind, and thank you for
Senator
those kind words. I
Senator
appreciate
Stanley
it.
has taught
They mean
me
a lot. These guys talking over me because we're trying to have a little conversation here. When you
Senator
guys are,
Stanley,
A real moment.
Really?
Mickie, has talked me into driving a couple of races in the NASCAR Wheeling Open Modified Tour. I'm going to do Martinsville, and I'm going to run the Smart Tour race over at New River
What are they
Valley.
getting you, a scooter?
hover
Get
around.
ready to have a moment and say,
Hover
since
around with the
now
number
you like
16
Bill
on.
more than you like me, would you come to the race and stay for half of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I will. Is your mom making the jelly or not?
I'll bring a 55-gallon drum of pepper jelly.
I'm just swimming it.
That'll keep you there the whole race.
That's so funny.
There we go.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mickie.
Thank you,
This has
Mickie.
been great. We'll have you on
I
again
appreciate
another
this.
time. I'd like
Free Wahoo.
an update in
Free
about 6
Wahoo.
months
Free
of what's
Wahoo.
going on.
Free Wahoo. Huh?
We ought to get her back in several months for an update on the case. And
Yes.
You know, if you look at the list of the guests I have, is having Lonnie down and the tribe down to talk about exactly what they're going through. I mean, the
you believe
Mattaponi
that?
17 is, I've never represented 17 people at once. And boy, what a great, just wonderful people. The nicest people you ever meet, and so proud of who they are, and so loving as she just describes. And you rarely get that opportunity to represent someone of that caliber, let alone 17 of them. And so, let's get them all back here, and let's get Mickie back here. Let's talk about tribal matters and why tribes matter in the Commonwealth of Virginia and also
Right.
throughout the United States, and why we need to really, if we're talking about special rights, as we talk about sometimes in politics, we're talking about making recognitions of past wrongs and making them right. This is the one that is most important.
wonder if we can make an arrangement. Last thing, Mickie, I know you got to go. We need to make arrangements to have Mickie come by and have you introduce her on the Senate floor at the Senate of Virginia.
Done and done. Because I'm
Wouldn't that be
gonna,
cool?
I am planning on in
be
January having the Mattaponi, 17 up there. So
And Mickie, he's in the back,
That's
but like
incredible.
Hermie said, I can tell just listening to him. You may not can see on the camera, on the screen, but you can tell he's very genuine and very passionate when he's talking about
Oh,
this.
I can feel it.
No, I'm
and I know,
serious.
and yes, and I wish that's what had clicked right before the camera turned on, because it just it just resonated really quickly, and that's why I was going to ask, and I said, "Oh no, the countdown's on, so I'll just ask you later." But
I'm glad you got to ask me on the air. That meant a lot.
Yes,
and,
that's beautiful.
Proud to do it.
All right, Bill, take us home.
Yeah.
Wow, this is the best podcast ever. This is your best guest ever, Hermie. I bring on the Lieutenant Governor, can't be matched by Mickie James. I bring on the governors, former governors,
Mickie-
can't be matched by Mickie James.
I brought on.
She exceeds.
Listen, I brought
so
on
far.
Glenn Jacobs about a month ago, and I sent the thing, and Bill says,
Well,
a dopey mayor from Knoxville. What the hell are we? Then he saw Glenn's picture. He's like, oh shit.
I'm sorry.
I didn't say it. I never.
Yeah.
I didn't
He even texted this week. Is this another
demonstrate-
dopey mayor type?
Yeah.
He did it just this week.
Yes, I did. All right. Sometimes, okay, I'm a little busy. I'm just trying to get you to explain who these people are. But this is the greatest guest you've ever had on this show. Hermie.
Well, how about that?
And
Well, we had Road
and with
Dog
a
last week, so that's
yeah, we're way moving up now. But
Lord.
with a rich heritage and a rich history, and doing a lot of great things. Mickie James, thanks for being on the Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator podcast. If at any time grown-ass women need a podcast interviewee, a guest, Hermie Sadler, we'd
Yes.
like to serve him up for sacrifice. kind of like a Inca sacrifice, where they take your heart out and show it to you. That would be a great thing, don't you think?
That'd be great.
We eat it.
Look forward to that.
They eat it. Man, that would be the #1 podcast in the United States. I'm telling you, we got to book this now. But you got to be willing to lose your heart.
Eat your heart.
Yeah. I think this is great. You won't have to invite her to the lake anymore, or not invite her to the lake, as you really didn't do.
He wouldn't have the heart to anyway.
A sidebar conversation about this lake situation.
She's funny too. Where have you been all my life? Mickie James, ladies and gentlemen, the greatest wrestler in the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you all. I'm State Senator from Virginia, Bill Stanley, home of the Lower Mattaponi, Free Wahoo, and I'm leaning right and kicking ass.
And I'm Hermie Sadler, and I'm turning left. This is Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator, powered by Pace-O-Matic. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
God bless you.
Get the house you want with the payment you want at buywithconrad.com. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket to do this at buywithconrad.com. NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. The first step to buying a house is buywithconrad.com.